Hello, everyone. We are back. That's right. Very short break today. I know all of you are maybe wondering the reason we are live here early today. We're going to do a little bit of pre-match analysis here for you. All a little bit of a talk, a little bit of a chat session. There is a lot to cover in this grand finals. These are two legacy teams. They've been here before many years ago now, 8 years ago. And this grand finals is a repeat between two countries fighting for their chance at glory again. Pre-match analysis here going to be done by myself, Chilirepair, joined by Dio, and perhaps our third caster for this grand finals, Azer. Welcome to the grand finals, gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Happy for another grand finals, and looking forward to what I hope is a repeat of the winners finals. We, of course, saw Poland beat the United States 7-6 in the winners finals. So I am really looking forward to just how close this match is on paper between these two teams, and hoping that it ends up delivering just as we saw last week.
That's right. I think it's a very exciting day today. I mean, we just watched a show match. We let our testers have a little bit of fun. I think they worked really hard, but I think there's a much more important event that everyone's here for now. And I think hopefully everyone's excited to potentially witness a match that's going to be as good as the last one was last Friday.
And only dream of getting another tiebreaker in this match here today. And this is a grand finals, which means that bracket reset is on the board, which means we could see two tiebreakers here today. Now, I know I'm asking for a lot, but if there's anything to ask for, I think it's got to be that. I mean, this is the potential for the most peak matchup we have seen in at least a year since the United States was dethroned by South Korea last year in the grand finals. So a lot to go on. But in this first segment here, I think we're just going to go over some of the legacy notes between these two teams. These are countries who have been playing OWC through all the modern iterations of the tournament. So any of the statistics we list off for you in this section here are going to be from 2013 onward. So we are skipping any results from OWC's 1, 2, and 3, and only going through the ones that are listed by year. And both countries have participated in every single one. So that is now 12 years of OWC between Poland and the United States, who both have some serious history in this tournament. All the way back to 2013, Poland, they were a top team for the very early iterations of the OS World Cup. They were a top 3 team for 2013, 14, and 2015, and before they ended up getting their first place in 2017, knocking the United States down. So they haven't quite been as high in the bracket ever since. In most recent years that those here might know, 2019 onward or even 2018 onward, Poland has generally been a top 8 team at best. They placed top 6 in 2022, but that was their first time that they even made the finals in 6 years prior to that. So the fact that they're back on the podium this year is something we haven't seen since 2017. And the last time that happened, they won the tournament. So a lot on the line for Poland here today.
Yeah, this is their 4th podium finish regardless of how it happens, or sorry, 5th podium finish regardless of how it happens, with those other 3 being 2013, 14, and 15. So it really has been a long time since we've seen Poland come into the OS World Cup as a true top contender. You mentioned 2022, they were 4th place in 2022, and they, in 2023, had a really interesting run as well. They had a lot of very, very good players. They seeded 2nd out of qualifiers, and then very famously, that's the first year that Australia made the podium. Well, Australia, they did that in part by knocking Poland down into the losers bracket in quarterfinals on tiebreaker. So Poland ended up actually facing the USA in losers bracket that year in 2023 and losing that matchup. That's why Poland was eliminated in top 8. They had a tough match versus Australia, losing that tiebreaker in the quarterfinals, and then ran into USA in losers bracket, because that was also a year that the United States got knocked down to losers bracket early in the quarterfinals as well. So both teams meeting up with each other in that semifinals losers bracket in the second round, and of course only one can get through. It ended up being the United States who would win that year as well. So Poland ended up losing only to 2 podium finishers, the third place team and the winner that year, and now are back again. They've got all the pieces of Exodia. They've got Malashevsky, who is the most decorated tournament player in the world. They have Milosh, who has been popping off in community tournaments and looking really good all tournament long. They've had Nahus, who has been doing the same and especially looked good in that last match, the winners finals. And they've got some other players who are a little bit less known players like Shedis Kostarek, Shari Tori, who fulfill really solid roles for their team alongside some specialists like Hav and Rafis. So this is a really well-rounded roster that has that star power on it as well. It's a very, very good team for Poland. Obviously, the USA still a very, very strong team, took them to tiebreaker and winners finals, but USA coming into this match with a little bit of a disadvantage despite the historical advantage they have against Poland, albeit a very slight one.
A slight disadvantage at that end. You know, the bracket reset is always a tough scenario because, of course, this being a double elimination tournament, meaning you need 2 losses in order to be eliminated. Poland currently going into this set with 0, the United States with 1. So there's that 50-50 chance that the United States has at dragging this one out to 1 loss each and bringing it to a bracket reset. And looking at the statistics between these two teams in terms of their overall matchups against each other, this is more than just a one-time legacy matchup. You know, everyone is really sort of thinking of that 2017 grand finals between the US and Poland, where the United States took 2 losses to Poland that year in the World Cup. They lost 6-7 in the finals, funny enough, the same thing that happened this year. And then they lost 5-7 in the bracket reset. So Poland did not actually go undefeated in the year that they won OWC. They actually ended up having to go all the way through to the second set. So they're maybe looking to be a little bit stronger with this star roster they have this year and looking to maybe avoid that bracket reset, keep themselves in a comfortable position. For the all-time stats on these teams, the United States is a decorated team, as everyone here knows. They are one of only 2 teams in World Cup history to have an undefeated win in a World Cup, the only other of which is South Korea, who defeated the United States last year in the grand finals. They did not require a bracket reset, 4-7 as a loss to the US. And the United States in that time has gone 77-12 for maps won to lost in all of their matches. That is an 86.5% win rate across all maps they have ever played in a World Cup. And that seems like a high number to match up to, but if you look at the stats for Poland, they don't look half bad, and this is not including this year's stats. They are 50-23 all-time, which is a 68.5% win rate, so well above the median for what teams are expected to pull in a World Cup, and they are going to display that for us here today with a roster that I believe is the strongest that they have ever had. Now, besides the grand finals matchups, these teams have faced each other 7 times in total. The United States is currently 4-3 against Poland in their matchups, thus making Poland 3-4 against the United States. So a 57% win rate versus a 43% win rate for the other side. In those 2 matchups, the United States and Poland have both won 11 maps against the other team. That's right, they have the same number of map wins across those matches. So Poland, despite taking an extra loss against the United States, has actually won the same number of times. Likewise, the United States making up that difference on maps lost for Poland. They have 26 maps lost versus 20 for the United States. So a little bit of ground to cover in the overall matchups here, but Poland being 3-4, this is their opportunity to tie up this legacy matchup, maybe make this 4-4 and really bring back a dynasty we have not seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how this match plays out. And I don't even think you can call it. Yes, we saw Poland take it in tiebreaker versus the USA in finals, but It's a tiebreaker match. It's as close as it gets. If you watched that match, you'll know that there were many maps that were less than 100,000 score difference between the two teams, even when they were just trading points back and forth. So it was not only very close in map score, it was also very close map to map in that winners finals that went to the tiebreaker. And this as well is a much harder map pool. The USA already has an extra round of practice on it. Poland, yes, they have that winner's bracket advantage, but the USA can take that extra practice and hopefully work some magic with it to get a little bit of a better chance in this grand finals. I am really, really looking forward to this match, Chillier. How about you?
I could not be more excited to see what's going to happen between these two teams. And, you know, maybe I'm a little biased because 2017 was really the first World Cup that I got a chance to watch. So, you know, this is quite a treat for me to see Poland and the United States back up here fighting for a first place finish. And I could not imagine any two teams that would be better suited for this position right now if you've been here. So with that, I think that's all the time we have for analysis. 3 minutes until we kickstart this matchup. Poland versus the United States. The number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed starts in just 3 minutes. We will see you on the other side.
Long ago, in a time spoken of only in history books, a dynasty was forged through its prowess in battle, in a melody of fury and war. But a throne claimed through war always invites future challengers. That dynasty would defend its throne time and again, falling only once to an invading army and allowing them the royal court. Though the throne was lost, it was quickly reclaimed in a year, creating ghosts of the former royal court in the process, with only one sage left to tell the tale of destruction in their wake. Kings rose and fell throughout the years, but all within that same dynasty, fending off all invaders from across the world, no matter the strength of their generals, no matter how decorated or how famous. They would face down bubbles of azure, rebounding with twin heroes to crush all opposition, stare down the Alpha and Omega, trounce the world's greatest hero in prominence, escape through the looking glass during tough battles before bringing judgment on their foes, and finally release their opposition from the hallucination of victory brought on by a neighbor to the north, until finally one battalion proved too much to bear for the longest standing dynasty in history. Now these monarchs have fallen, though the last to claim the throne is gone, wiped from the face of battle by mightier foes. A dynasty does not die in one generation, but the remnants of a past royal court have returned with a hero of legend to contest the dynasty once more. After traveling across the world, pulling the sword from the stone, accumulating badges of honor, training for this very moment, all the while, the Phantom Hero led his team as general alongside the one remaining sage from the last court in a battle leaving an inorganic dystopia in its wake. Now, temporarily on the throne, the Phantom Hero is challenged once again by the combined efforts of a dynasty eager to reclaim their place on the throne, expected to rule through the excellence shown across all 8 years of their reign. The dynasty, defeated once again in battle by their greatest foe and one of only 2 armies to best them in war, engage in battle one last time, even at a disadvantage, in a last bid for the right to rule once more. Will the most decorated war veteran of all time finally claim the throne and reseat the ghosts of the past atop the world for the second time? Will the American dynasty reclaim its place at the top and prove the strength of their full forces once more? Poland versus the United States. The most decorated player in history versus the most decorated team in history. One last battle for a year atop the world. One last match in the OS World Cup 2025. Welcome to the Grand Finals.
If you'd all like to move to the dance floor.
Move to the funky beat.
Welcome back, everyone, to the OS World Cup 2025 Grand Finals. It's time for the very last match of the tournament, the conclusion everyone has been waiting for. The two teams slated to make it to the top ever since the beginning of the tournament. Poland, your number 1 seed, versus the United States, the number 2 seed, and the greatest team in the history of the OS World Cup. I'm Dio. I am joined by Chillier Pair and Azer for the very last cast in the very last match of the tournament.
It's a big one. It's a big one. It's the main event. We're finally here, and honestly, there's no way to predict who's really on top here. These two teams look so even right now, and there's just so many angles they have to play around. We've already seen the USA play against Australia earlier. We've seen them play around Boshi, man, running a lot of crazy plays on Nomad on all the free mod picks that they're tending to play around, and there's a lot of questions about whether or not, like, what is Poland going to be playing around, right? Like, they have so many well-rounded players. Of course, we made this great intro talking about Malashevsky, but he is so well supported in his team with Milos and Nahus. Sherry Tori has been filling for a lot of maps, doing really good, and Kosciarek as well particularly looks pretty good, so I'm really, really excited to watch this one. How about you, Chillier?
I kind of talked about it a little bit before, but if you've been watching the World Cups right around the time that I have, you know that this is a crazy matchup to see back here in the Grand Finals. I mean, a repeat Grand Finals, it's something we've seen in the past, but after a period of 8 years has passed is not something I ever expected to see in my time. And the United States have done a great job fighting their way back up into this spot. They took a loss to Poland in the finals with a tiebreaker in very close fashion, had to fight their way down through the third place matchup in yet another tiebreaker against an Emrek that looked like he could have taken on the world last night. And now Poland, in the exact same position that they were in 2017, now once again stands at the doorstep of victory. Our number 1 seed, the winners bracket team, and a bracket reset behind them means that the United States of America has their work cut out for them today. And as we work through these bans, we're expecting to see all of those major skill sets eliminated here. Afterburner from the United States, get that tech out of there, big sliders, high intensity. We all know what the Polish roster is good at. They are extremely confident in those more gimmick control skill sets.
Yeah, definitely just scared of Malashevsky on that one. I think that was the one name that people were mostly looking at for that map. Not going to be seeing it today. And Poland answering that with Hidden 2 as well. I think you could say just about the same. If there's one team that's left out of every team in the tournament that's going to be good on a map like this, it's going to be the US with Boshi and Ethan Tricks and Caleb on this. I think that's pretty notable and pretty scary, so not dealing with that. Hard Rock 2 also going to be taken out there, so no precision tech. And that is kind of interesting to me because it kind of highlights something that's been pretty interesting if you look at the drafts and between these two teams and the types of things that they tend to prioritize. They seem to have a lot of like mutual respect for the potential that the other team also has on all of the typically extreme skill sets, all the gimmick, all the speed, the tech stuff. They seem to kind of be trading picks and bans all the time depending on like individual maps or something like that. So it's a pretty interesting aspect of these two teams, I think, that are kind of looking to play around more or less the same skill sets for the most part. And it's actually pretty hard to determine, strategically whether or not you have an advantage on picking some of these when the other team is also probably looking to play those same things, right? So most notably here, I think USA going to be running out their bans with DT1, so not going to be seeing that one. But it is, I think, the first Grand Finals in, I don't even know how many years now, probably 5 years or something, where all the speed's up. Is this the first time? There's no speed bans.
That's got to be a new one. I mean, there's always one team in the Grand Finals that absolutely terrorizes the mechanics pool. And it's so interesting, like you said, to see that these two teams are, again, showing the respect to the more niche skill sets, the gimmick, the precision, the reading, the aim control, more so than the mechanical skill sets. And I don't know if that just speaks to the fact that both of these two teams are way too confident at the mechanical skill sets overall, or whether or not one of them is just not willing to admit that they might not win one of the picks and give away some of that information. You know, Poland does have that third place matchup to go on for the United States, so they do have a little bit of information going into this. They know what the United States is likely going to play well on or not play well on, but the United States really has nothing going into this, so they are just going off of vibes, maybe off of what they experienced in the winners finals, and trying to sort of pan around it there. And as we see Poland pick that free mod 1 to start up here, we are seeing them maybe go for the less mechanics favored picks here.
Okay, this is really interesting. So, I mean, I was just saying both of these teams are looking to play around the same things, and I mean, I fully expected the USA to pick this after Boshiman, I think, notably did pretty good on the no mod, and the rest of the team also did pretty good on the rest of this as well, running 2 hard rocks instead of USA. But Poland going to be first picking this one here, and I think this is a map that is probably, it's a fairly long one, right? 4.5 minutes here of mostly consistency, you know, density aim for the most part, something that Malashevsky pretty much likes a lot. You're probably going to be seeing Kosciarek here come in to tank the hard rock, and probably, honestly, Malashevsky might actually be taking a hit on this. Density aim is pretty good for him, and you're probably likely to see maybe Milosh and Sheritori, Evil Grape on this on the Nomad. And I mean, last time against Australia, for the side of USA, yeah, it was Taquito on the hidden, and they ran double hard rock on this with Decaded and Rectagon, which they've somehow been doing that a lot. They also did this for Free Mod 2 as well, so we'll see if they run that back here. But this is a map I think that for, you know, it's outside of the density part of this, I think if you're taking a mod, it's fairly comfortable. You know, if you're good at hard rock mechanics, I think it's a good map for you. So it makes sense for the USA to run both of those things. Yeah.
No question in my mind. The United States has, you know, generally been known to run that overmod on free mod in the later stages, which is funny because the last time they played against Poland, they actually avoided the overmods that we usually see from them on free mod. It was actually quite anticlimactic to see in that winners finals that they opted out of it. And I don't know if that was map pool based or whether or not they just didn't want to take any chances against Poland, but I imagine if we see that same United States, maybe they do avoid the double, you know, overmod on some of these maps. I don't know if this will be one of them because removing that density does favor a lot of these US players. And if Poland is picking into this, they're expected to be confident overall. And it does look like they are keeping the same mods as last time. Rectagon, Decaton, and Taquito going up against Nahus on the hidden, Kosciarek on the hard rock here. And of course, Malashevsky and Evil Grape up on the no-mod, looking for those confident no-mod combos from the top end of players. As we get into map number 1, free mod 1, it all starts here.
All starts here for this grand finals. A couple of early breaks there for Kosciarek on the hard rock, but nothing to write home about early on. This map is pretty consistently difficult until about a third of the way through. A couple of breaks to match for Rectagon, Taquito, and Evil Grape. Sharitori there, the name change for Evil Grape on the side of Poland. So 1 no-mod and 1 hard rock remaining for the United States. 1 no-mod, 1 hidden remaining for Poland, with Malashevsky and Nahus still holding, Boshiman and Decaton still holding, and trades for the remaining 4 players in the lobby. Another break to come through for Taquito on that hidden for the US. But the recoveries for Poland doing a little bit better here in this first quarter. As Decaton falls, that's another full combo down for the United States. Nahus to trade, and it's 1v1 right now. Malashevsky versus Boshiman already on the free mod 1.
Boshiman was the top scorer for the United States on this versus Australia, and he's looking to try and do it once again, but going up against the best tournament player regarded in the world in Malashevsky. And it should be noted, Poland going into pick number 1 here without Milosh as one of their top performing players, so it does speak to the absolute confidence of this Polish roster going into this match, knowing that they have a roster that's going to be able to compete. Now, there are breaks on both sides here. It does favor Poland overall, but again, it's the supporting combos meaning absolutely nothing right now. Rectagon just above 200, but it's barely going to pull back score, and it's all going to come down to this now. Bashi, Malashevsky, 99.9 versus 99.7. Who will break? Who will let the nerves hit after neither of them missed the space stream we saw yesterday? And as we approach the halfway point in the map, Dio, this starts to get dangerous.
Yes, it does. There's a slider stream coming up soon that might just trip some people up, followed by a ton of really high spacing, high velocity slider jump patterns afterwards, or slider aim patterns, however you want to look at it. Here's that slider stream. Neither of them break on it. They're both able to hit it. Kosirek on the Hard Rock, the only player to fall there. And now we get into this next TI time. Nahu's next to break on the hidden. Kaiten to trade out the Hard Rock. Taquito also falling, and it's one supporting combo and one full combo still left standing for each team. Boshyman finally goes down. That's the last FC down for the US. The supporting combo falls for Rectigon as well. And now it's Malashevsky standing alone. He finds the break as well. And Chillier now is just a scrap fight all the way to the ending. Both teams holding pretty much the exact same team score. 7K, 8K lead for the US, slightly climbing due to the misses from Poland, but no combo anywhere on any member going into the last third of this map. And this Fremod 1 already off to a super, super close start in this match, as everyone still keeps finding these trades, and the score lead is just crawling its way over to the side of the United States on Poland's first pick, now up to 20K, but just barely any movement there on that score bar as misses continue to come out all over the place. Sub 100 combo for tons of people in this lobby, but it's Rectigon to hold, Decayton to hold, and Malashevsky to hold. Rectigon does find the miss, but Decayton and Bashi are matching those combos from Malashevsky and Sharitori. There goes Decayton, there goes Sharitori, and once again it's Boshyman versus Malashevsky going into the ending.
Boshyman, Malashevsky, this is the same thing we saw yesterday, Dio. It was the big carry for both teams. They're going in, they're improving the scores even, and all of the supporting combos are dropped now on Poland as they lose 2 players in the last couple seconds here. Now 3 with Evil Grape. Malashevsky cannot do this on his own. The United States holds. Malashevsky misses, but the entire US trades it out. It's 35K, and any chain miss could throw this away. The United States continues finding misses, but so does Nahu's the biggest combo. And I think this 50K might just stand on map number 1. The United States riding on the back of Boshyman. Malashevsky trying his best, the top score in the entire lobby, and it might just be a break point. The score lead is going back to Poland ever so slowly. It's 34K, and I think we're out of time. Rectigon finds a miss, but so does Malashevsky, and that is it. A break point on map number 1.
What a
unbelievable
ridiculously close map. Oh my god, man.
Bashi pulling up on this one though. Guys, it's really hard to match Malashevsky on anything. And Bashi just really, when it's needed here, is going to be able to do it. I mean, fully expected that, I think, from the last match that they played on these free mods. Bashi is just so good. And after this, I'm definitely expecting USA to follow this up with the free mod 2. Because Bashi really, really good look good on that one, and I think that is probably one of their better maps that's left here, and I think it's good to leave Rectigon on Decayton as well to keep familiar with the Hard Rock here. They got their warm up out of the way, but yeah, I mean, losing your first pick like that, I mean, someone must have had a crazy score in their locals there. I mean, probably Malashevsky. Right.
Right? Yeah, I think you're expecting him to FC the blow-in map, right?
Yeah, not going to end up working out, though. So going to be opening this with a break point. And USA now finds themselves in a good position, and they're not going to go for Knight of Knights here. They are going to go for Panagia, which is also, I think, a pretty good pick for them. I mean, these players, honestly, on both teams, again, I'm going to keep saying this, these teams are really evenly matched in terms of what they're looking to play. And so when you're looking at this very, map that just screams, this is hidden tech, this is just the hidden tech map, there's Malashevsky in here still, right? Like, there's a lot of really good players on the Poland team, but USA is going to be running this, I think, with Ethan Tricks, who's, going to come in for a couple maps, but this is going to be one of them. Taquito as well on this. Looked really good. I think dropped 500k on this against Australia, and probably going to see Caleb come in for this one as well, who we don't see too much of. Definitely one of the more specialized players who's only going to be playing 1 or 2 maps, I think, but when he's in the lobby, I think there's an impact to be made.
This was one of those maps in the match yesterday, and we're sort of drawing some parallels here. That first map, under 40,000 score difference. Now, not quite as close as US versus Australia yesterday, which started off with 2 sub 20k score gaps on breakpoint eitherwise. This was a pretty solid performance from the United States overall. Taquito looked really good. Decaton found one very unfortunate break in the middle. Ethantrix brought up the other side, and then Caleb a little bit further behind, but still almost at that 300,000 score line. Meanwhile, Australia, I mean, it was very much MREC on that map. I mean, a 763k is going to win your team the map every single time. And the question we are really looking for on Poland right now, and it's something that we are going to probably see a lot in this match going forward that we didn't see on map number 1, which is Malashevsky and Milos both being in the lobby together, let alone Nahus and Evil Grape, who are exceptional hidden players. That is that duo that has been terrifying for Poland this year. And if you get both of them in on a map that they're confident on, well, you basically got like 1.5 MRECs between the two of them alone. And now you start to get to that worrying point for the United States here, where do they step up and give that score gap that they maybe lost by again yesterday? And we have yet to see what's going to happen on a hidden pick.
Yeah, I think the important part here for Poland too is their supporting players on this are pretty good. Obviously, you're looking at Malashevsky and Milos on this, but Kosciarek and Nahus can definitely do some damage on this one here. So, we might be looking at another breakpoint duo here. I wouldn't be surprised.
I definitely would not be, and I think this pick is really interesting. The United States in the last couple of matches has really preferred that Hard Rock pool, so this first pick hidden is definitely an interesting one, but they have some very, very good hidden players on this team, and they're off to a good start. Some early breaks here for Nahus and not Milos, actually, that was Bancho, just Nahus here with that early break for Poland. Full rosters: Malashevsky, Nahus, Milos, and Evil Grape, Shari Tori for Poland, Ethantrix, Decaton, Caleb, and Taquito in for the United States. The bottom row all having missed at this point. Malashevsky also goes down, and everyone on Poland has fallen early on here in the first quarter of the map. It's Ethantrix and Decaton still holding on to the FC. There goes Ethantrix, and everyone is going down all over the place. No combo held for anyone in this lobby aside from Decaton. He finally drops the full combo a full third of the way into this map, and this is a relatively short one. It is only 2.5 minutes, so this 90k score lead is gonna do some work for the United States. Malashevsky has the best combo, but he misses as well on this build-up section, and now halfway into the map, it's the USA with a 100k score lead and no combo anywhere for either team.
Well, I was about to say that you don't really want to see those top scores on the United States as the lowest combo, but as the recoveries come through, Caleb and Taquito and Decaton, all three of them matching the recovery combos from Poland. As we pass the halfway point in the map and Milos chain misses the big stream, Caleb and Decaton both traded out. It's Taquito fighting a battle alone right now, but as Evil Grape breaks, it gives him just a little bit more breathing room. A third of the map left to go. Taquito has missed, and the United States now finds a full reset, and it all lands on Nahus and Malashevsky, and now both of them find a break. There's nothing Poland can do. They pulled back 100,000 score, and it's gone in an instant.
Those combo breaks for Malashevsky and Nahus could not happen if they wanted to break point back on this first pick from the United States, because no one is able to hold for Poland. Neither the carry players nor the support there on the bottom row. The United States with 2 300Ks from Decaton and Taquito, alongside some really solid scores from Ethan and Caleb, going to be converting on their first pick. It's still a close map for sure. It's still less than 100k difference, Chillier, on this pick, and we are blessed with 2 incredibly close maps to start this out. There goes a huge chain miss at the end for Poland, and what was a sub 100k difference rockets up to 160k for the United States to end off that map, holding on to that really difficult ending section and not finding those chain misses. Near 400k for both Taquito and Decaton, completely top scoring the lobby. Big reason why the United States were able to convert there.
Yeah, you know what's crazy too is this United States score is a lot lower than what they did last time. I mean, Taquito dropped 524,000 points yesterday. So, maybe even below what they expected to run this, and they're still able to win on this. So I wonder what that really says about the state of this lobby right now. I think people are really nervous. And I think we have yet to really see, both of these teams really show up on these. I think they're still kind of warming up, and I'm really interested to see how much crazier it gets, right? Grand finals on a very, very hype World Cup overall, I think, is going to affect a lot of people on nerves here, right? So we'll have to see what they go with afterwards. It's going to be Poland picking next. And I think on paper here for this Poland team, I would expect them to try, or at least kind of dip their toes into some of the more like mechanics-centered picks. I was looking at DT1 before the USA banned it, so maybe that tells me that this might be a good angle to be looking at. So even when they faced in finals, the USA banned Nomon 1 and 2 against them. So definitely expecting at some point to be seeing this Nomon 1 pick, but we are not actually. We're going to be continuing with the hidden. See, they're just, they're just trading picks over and over. So RIP here, map by Petal. We're going to be seeing some 270 BPM alt aim here. It's a good one. This map is really good, Chiller.
Well, this map is honestly one of my favorite songs in the entire pool. There is just something special about seeing this played in a match right now, and I was sad to see it not picked in the show match, but I sort of knew we would get to see it here, so there's really no question in my mind that this isn't a good pick for Poland. It was in sort of like a private watch party for the match that we had seen versus the United States and Australia, on Friday night or Saturday for those that are otherwise. But MREC putting up 719,000 on this map, winning for them by 159k over the United States, whose next closest was 562k on Decatur. And the first thing I said when that map finished is, wow, Malashevsky could probably FC this map and do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I think that's an important narrative for this match. I think is based on how the USA played this previous match that they played. I don't think any of them particularly had any standout performances on any. There's no major carries. Nothing was ever close to an FC, which has got to mean something when you're against Malashevsky, right? You've seen that it meant something when you're against a player like MREC who was able to put up these FCs. So while I think the USA in general, everyone's playing really good, I don't think, looking at it from an outsider perspective, or maybe from the perspective of Poland here, I don't think they necessarily have someone that looks like they can match Malashevsky, who I think is going to just have a wonderful old time on this, right? So I think being in that position, if you're Poland here, if you're taking these maps that you think is going to have, the potential of an FC making a big difference here, it makes a lot of sense when you look at this pick. And I think they're pretty well supported on this one. I think the rosters for this are actually going to be changing. We're going to be seeing Pez for the USA. I believe Ethan Trix was playing this instead of Pez against Australia. So slight change for them. And I think Poland here with a pretty nice looking roster here. Malashevsky with Nahus, Milosh, and Kosciarek as well. So should be a good one too.
Light start. Hidden 1. It's you, man. Rip right now. Malashevsky, Nahus, Milosh, Evil Grape going up against Decatur, Rectagon, Pez, and Taquito. United States took a loss on this map yesterday by a not super close margin. So if Poland can look and sort of execute this the way that we think they should, it's going to be a good one for them. Milosh, known for being amazing at this sort of pick. Malashevsky, no shying away from aim maps there, and Evil Grape bringing it up with the combos still. A couple early breaks on the United States to start them off.
Yeah, still a lot of map left to go, though. This is 3 minutes and 40 seconds. It's got a lot of combo all throughout. We've got a couple of dip spikes throughout this map as well, and none of the in-between sections are particularly easy, as we've seen. A break for Decatur going into the first PI time here, quarter of the way in or so. Taquito the next to follow it up, and still now just 2 full combos. Sharitori there dropping for Poland. Evil Grape on the bottom right. It's Pez and Rectagon holding for the United States, but it's Malashevsky and Milosh still on the double FC, and it's Nahus on this big supporting combo after that first PI time, a third of the way in, and Poland are looking fantastic on this hidden one.
As expected, Poland, an amazing aim team, a great hidden team, and all of their top-level players have displayed excellence on this style of map previously. And the second we saw this map, we knew exactly how this one would go for Poland. And you can only predict as much as possible in here, when it comes to a couple of unfortunate breaks. But if there's one thing Poland is never going to let you down on, it is hidden aim.
I mean, clearly they've got 2 people who haven't let anything down so far, still holding on to that double FC for Malashevsky and Milosh, over halfway into the map now. And Nahus on this reverse choke is only about 100 combo back from an FC as well, going into the second PI time now. And the USA, I mean, Rectagon is still holding here. He's maxed that combo from Nahus on the reverse choke, but the double FC is unmatched for the United States. No one able to put up anything close. And there goes Rectagon, somehow still no misses for any of those three big combos on Poland. Finally, one of those goes down. It's Nahus to drop, but the double FC still stands, and all 6 other combos have broken in this lobby chillier. Poland is absolutely demolishing the United States on this map. It is not going to be close whatsoever. Malashevsky and Milosh, two of the best hidden aim players in tournaments, full stop, displaying their sheer dominance on this map right now.
The hard part too? Oh my god.
There's just never any doubt, really. These two are absolutely tearing it up right now. It's an 800k score lead and climbing for Poland. I think they might just generate a big enough score lead that they would only need 3 players to be able to beat the United States. There's a 1 million score lead for Poland, and that is officially 3v4. 2 FCs, you only need 1 from Poland in order to beat this team score from the United States. And this is not even that bad of a team score for the US. Double 500k is about what they got the last time that they played this. It's just that Poland completely blowing every other team score this week so far out of the water. Double FC for Malashevsky and Milosh, which is absolutely absurd. We saw Emrek get 720k 2-miss on this and thought that was ridiculous. No, Poland just destroy every other score of the weekend by a million team score.
Forget the 3v4. It's a 2v4. It's a 2v4 in grand finals. I don't know if we've ever seen that. This is kind of ridiculous. Double FC on this. I mean, we were watching this when it was played before, and we were like, oh, this map looks a little easy and comfortable. Like, surely there's going to be a lot of FCs, but it kind of, you know, watching the previous match on USA Australia here, no one was really close to it. It didn't really look like it was that easy, but I mean, Malashevsky and Milosh here putting on an absolute clinic, and a much needed point for them here. We've only seen, I think, 1 FC in Grand Finals yesterday. I believe it was only 1 on Nomad 2, and now we just saw 2 on 1 map. It's kind of ridiculous, and that's going to be answered with a Hard Rock 3 on the side of the USA here, going to be into some very high BPM Hard Rock ult, some 190 BPM snappy ult here. Really, really difficult in the Kiais here. I don't believe... no, actually, this was played in US Australia. But I think this was also more of the same. Basically, everyone on this team had around 400k. The gap between first and fourth on this team is like 50,000 points. So pretty consistent performance across the board here. I think on the USA side, you're going to be seeing Decaden. You're seeing Decaden, Rectagon, Pez, and Window Life probably come in for his first map today, I believe. On Poland, what do you think, Joe?
You know, I don't know what to think about the Polish roster for a map like this, just because, you know, it is aim heavy, but it's also surprisingly awkward and dense for a Hard Rock 3. You know, you don't normally expect these quick snap back and forth patterns on a Hard Rock pool, which generally tends to be either wider or more highly spaced. And the uncomfortable aspect of this is something that does make me question whether or not both of these teams are going to have that confident roster. You know, we've seen the US be good at Hard Rock maps, and even though they looked really good as a team on this yesterday, they definitely still struggled with the majority of this map in terms of holding prolonged combos. So it's basically going to be the same story. Does Poland have a confident player on this map, and do they have the support to back them up, which was what we looked for against the United States in the third place matchup, where they were so closely scored on their 4-player roster. But if they go up against another team who has somebody who's really good at this sort of thing, they're in the danger zone.
Well, I do think, looking at the finals match between both of these teams here, the USA picked all 3 of the Hard Rock picks in that pool, which is not significantly that much easier than this one. Like, they're pretty comparable in difficulty, and they've basically won all 3 of them. Hard Rock 1 was, and 2 was a 300k difference. The Hard Rock 3 in that pool was a little bit fancy. It was not much of a standard map as much as this one is, but that one was quite close, and I think Malashevsky only had one slider break on this. So on a map like this, I think it could still be very close, but on paper, you're going to probably be looking at USA having a pretty good time on this one.
See if they do indeed have that good time. This one, another map about 3.5 minutes-ish. We've got a pretty difficult section right there at the start and a bunch of combo breaks to take stock of. Nahus, Milosh, and Kosirek all finding breaks. Malashevsky also breaking afterwards in this slower section. It's 2 full combos for the US, Rectigon and Pez, with Window Life and Decaton breaking near the start there. And Decaton finding another trade here, almost a quarter of the way in now. And about a third of the way in, we're going to get this next big spike coming up, this next Ki time to start up in this map. And from there, you're going to expect a lot more of these breaks to come through. Right now, everybody just building up their combos, and into this first Ki time we go. Everybody's still holding here at the start. There goes Pez, the first to drop for the US. Rectigon to trade it out as well. Nahus also finding the drop on the side of Poland, but it's 3 misses for the US already. Decaton finding that next miss, and Malashevsky, Milosh, and Kosirek, this trio holding strong for Poland, is bringing this score lead back ever so slowly. It's coming back. It's not a ton of extra combo for Poland, but if they continue to hold, it's going to go back their way. But no, Milosh and Kosirek both finding the drop, and it's the 1v1, Malashevsky versus Window Life on this Hard Rock 3 after that first Ki time is over. Both of them holding these big combos out of that first difficult section in this map.
This is the scenario that I was a little bit worried about for the United States. They're doing well to hold on right now, but it's just Window Life fighting a battle on his own against Malashevsky. The second either of these players breaks, this flies over to the other side, and this is what happens when you've got a player who's really good at a map. It makes all the difference in the world, and luckily for the United States, Window Life pulling out some heroics despite being the bottom score on this in the previous match versus Australia, but it's still Malashevsky to find a break, but Window Life trades immediately, and now the supporting combos are barely off. Decaton, Nahus trade at the same time as well. Kosirek finds a break, and there goes Poland, but Rectigon to miss, and it all falls to Pez now. Final third of the map. It's the only thing supporting this lead for the United States right now, and it's ever so slowly going to creep in their favor, but certainly not by a margin that they would be comfortable with. It is all down to this one combo again for the United States. Hold on. Milosh finds a miss on the pause pattern, and Pez might have just brought this one home.
Those stop and go pause streams are so deceptively difficult, and Pez able to hit them, able to bring this combo into the last Ki time, into the last difficult section of this map, showing the roster depth for the United States. That narrative has truly borne fruit over and over again this World Cup, of the carry players on the other team versus the roster depth for the United States. It's not just one, but 2 massive scores for the US here. 500k, the top score of the lobby for Window Life, but also 460k, nearly matching Malashevsky for Pez. And yes, Malashevsky's probably going to get to that 500k mark, does in fact get just above 500k right before the end of the map, but it's not going to be quite the top score, and it's not going to measure up to what is needed to take this breakpoint from the United States. That extra roster depth, so good for them. Pez and Rectigon both outscoring Milosh, the second best score on Team Poland. And then, of course, Decaton also outdoing Nahus for the 4th score for both of these teams. It just shows the United States, that narrative that we talk about with their roster depth, being able to fluidly switch out members every single map and have it work for them, is actually their strategy in these matches. They don't just have that one big carry player for the entire match like we see for the other 2 teams in this grand finals weekend. Yes, of course, Poland has their supporting players, but for the United States, it is player after player top scoring different maps for them so far this weekend.
That was a big score for the United States, by the way. If the US pulled their score on that map from the 3rd place match, they lost by 15k, actually. They were 1.65 million, now an increase to 1.8 million on this time. So they seriously put up a gap against Poland when they needed to the most. And now we go into the pick for Poland, looking for no more breakpoints on their side. And their second pick after the first breakpoint looked significantly more confident, and I imagine they're going to continue that run.
I think it's hard to decide where you go to next, because if their plan so far is just to kind of play around Malaszewski's comfort and see what Milosh can dread him on, well, there's not much, there's no hidden left. Knight of Knights. Okay, so we're gonna be seeing Knight of... This is scary. This is really scary. On paper, when we were doing match prep, I was looking at both Fremont 1 and 2 to be quite good for the USA because of how consistent Boshi is at Nomad on this and how well they can support him with pretty good modded scores on this as well. So, I mean, Boshi dropped 600k on this. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they're looking at this one to maybe go a little bit differently. I'm questioning this one a little bit, but maybe now that they're warmed up a little bit, we've played a couple maps, evidently, I don't think these guys are looking as nervous as they were at the start here. The quality of their play, I think, has stepped up a lot more to their expectations on both sides. So maybe this is when we see, who's going to be matching that Boshi man threat on Poland here. Maybe they're looking really comfy on this one, but I mean, to go back on the point of the USA team roster here, I think Window Life, kind of quietly stepping up on that one. I think Window Life until last year was mostly kind of known as like a speed player for the most part, like a DT player, but really showed up on the Grands pool, and I think opened a lot of people's eyes on how good he can be at so many different things on this pool, right? So he pulls out a top score on that one, 560k on Hard Rock 3, but I think the more important player I think here for the USA is probably looking at Pez and how much he's improved since last year and how much he's been a core part of this roster, I think, filling up a lot of the third or fourth player slots, I think, whereas last year I think Pez only played a couple maps. He was definitely fifth player on a lot of things, but really making a big impact here and a big difference on having this USA hold this 3-1 lead now. So not going to be in for this one. We're going to be making some roster swaps, but I think it is a very good thing and a very threatening thing for Poland here, I think, looking at that. And this team has so many OWC champions and a lot of really storied players. You got like Taquito, Decaden, Rectagon, who have always been so good year after year, but they keep just finding new players to join them. And we're going to be seeing a couple more here from Ethan Trix, I think, who's been making some waves. Probably going to be running the Hidden on this one, which is maybe the hardest map in the pool, actually. Oddly enough, I think this on Hidden is pretty damn difficult as an anti-mod area here. Very so much aim required on this one with the precision. So we have not really seen a good Hidden score on this. Maybe this changes.
Yeah, this was both Hidden players bottom scored this on the third place matchup. Paler and Ethan Trix were both of the two lowest scores on their respective teams here. So we're maybe looking at a bit of a turnaround, and you can already see how difficult this map is right from the get-go. Everyone finding breaks here, with one sole exception that I am seeing down at the bottom here, and that's really going to be the key for the United States. This was their largest score gap of the third place matchup, and they are looking for that 500k once again. Breaks across the board here, and it's two combos standing for both teams now.
Two combos for both teams, but clearly you'd prefer to be in the United States shoes right now. There goes Rectagon. He was that second top scorer of the lobby for the United States in that matchup against Australia. Got nearly 550k on Hard Rock on this, which you can see just how ridiculous the aim is a really impressive score. But there goes Boshi Man, there goes Ethan, there goes Decaden. Everyone on the United States missing on that pattern. It's Kosirek and Evil Grape to trade out for Poland, but Malaszewski and Milosh hold on. Milosh breaks on the Hard Rock a little bit afterwards, but Malaszewski on this Nomad is still holding the only big combo in the lobby now, going into the second TI time halfway through, and he really needs to hold to bring this over to Poland's side. Remember, this is a pick for Poland. We have been focusing on the United States because of how ridiculous Boshi Man's score on this was in the match against Australia, but this is Poland's pick. This is Malaszewski saying, I can do that too. Whatever you do, I can do better. I am number one. I am the most decorated tournament player in the world, and he right now is showing off on this map. 700 combo and climbing, 400k and climbing. Nobody else near him in the lobby, but he has to hold. The only other combo on his team, Kosirek, also down now, and everyone has fallen except for Malaszewski and Boshi Man, and there goes Malaszewski. It's now on Boshi to try and bring this back for the US as everyone else falls around him. Nobody else in the lobby able to hold any combo. The score lead down to 50 50K for Poland, and Boshiman still holding into the ending here. Can he do it over and over again for the United States? Every time they get Fremod 2 picked into them, it is one man to clutch it out for them. Boshi, he finds the break near the ending. It's combo again for Poland. Kozarek and Malashevsky both still holding. Rectagon on the Hard Rock, trying to keep this on the side of the US, trying to hold on for Boshi's sake after that massive combo, but he's maybe able to. It's a chain miss Fiesta into the ending, and the United States is just barely holding on to their combos a little bit better than Poland. It's a couple of spinners at the end of the United States. They're able to bring it back. It's Boshiman once again to top score for the US, and despite the top score in the lobby for Malashevsky on the side of Poland, it's the team support that brings it home for America.
Time and time again, a 542K. It's still 60K less than yesterday, almost exactly, but it was just enough. The most decorated tournament player in the world versus the clutch minister, Boshiman, every single time. And the classic scoreline comes out once again. The United States up 4-1 on Poland, our number 1 seeded team in the World Cup for 2025, and it now falls to the United States to either break the pattern or conform to the 4-1 curse. Does the United States consolidate their breakpoint, or does Poland run them back all the way through? This match is far from over. It's 2 maps through to match point for the United States. It's 5 for Poland. And if there was ever a team that could come through at clutch time at the 11th hour, it is going to be your number 1 seed, the only team to defeat the United States in the World Cup this year in tiebreaker. They are looking to do it one more time, and they only have to do it once. United States gonna finally go in for some raw mechanics here. The DT2, it's gonna be the speed pick.
This one is also very interesting. I mean, looking at this pool and looking at what these teams like to play and pick, I think the Hard Rock 1 for the USA is probably the last remaining map where you could say they probably have a noticeable advantage on. You know, they're definitely not out on any map in this pool. I think it's very close, but maybe they're keeping that one for later. When you have this, you have a couple maps to play around with. You know, you only need 3 more at this point. It's kind of nice to hold that one, you know, comfy pick for when you need it, perhaps later. So DT2 here is going to be seeing this very old map, I think, from 2014, I believe. I think the most notable part on this of this one is that it's old. It's a little bit janky. You know, there's a lot of players that you'd expect to do good on this, but maybe have not necessarily the most amount of experience playing these maps, and tend to break on a couple things here that they don't really see in modern maps nowadays. But it's worth saying, Poland does have a very good DT player who's used to playing a lot of DT jank since the very olden days, right? So maybe we actually see Rafis come in for this one. You know, playing some of his specialty here, probably looking to come in for this one and DT3. But USA here, I mean, this map did not look like a particularly strong one when it was played against Australia. I don't think they have a full 4 for this. I mean, we saw Rectagon, Pez, Window Life drop 500Ks, 400Ks, but Taquito dropping under 300K on this as well. So maybe looking for perhaps a different player to come in for this one, or maybe Taquito had a bad day on this one. But it's pretty tough at this BPM. Like, it's pretty high. The speed picks in this pool are no joke, and it's nice to finally see one of them because they're pretty much always banned out.
Yeah, I think, you know, the big issue with Taquito yesterday, maybe just being the late evening, but Taquito is actually a very strong speed player. I really think it's the 10.5 that took Taquito out. Being so late at night, I mean, an 11 p.m. match is always going to affect your ability to read high approach ratings. So I think maybe just a little bit lower than we were expecting, but this Polish speed roster, I mean, Nahus, Milosh, Evil Grape, and Rafis, the one and only, the only player, I believe, to stand still from the original Polish roster to defeat the United States 8 years ago in the grand finals. Now coming back to assist the youngins once again, hopefully here. Couple breaks early from Evil Grape and Rafis, but we're also seeing 2 misses traded for the United States here. So not really a concern at the start. This is going to come down to who has the better top end. It's another break from Window Life, which is a little bit uncharacteristic.
I gotta point something out. Rafis just dropped a 1K 2 seconds ago, right before this.
All right, whatever.
Maybe
Rafis.
more nervous than normal. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Let's hope that doesn't affect the only former king on this roster. A couple of early misses, though, coming out from a lot of places. Milosh, Rafis, Pez, Taquito, all finding breaks here. Window Life found a break early on in the map as well. It's Rectagon to match the FC from Nahus, and Evil Grape on the reverse choke, slightly outdoing Window Life on the side of the United States. So it is advantage Poland for now, as another break comes through for Pez on that wide-angle washing machine jump. The one really interesting part of this map, it's a lot of, by the way, break for Evil Grape is really big right now. That's big supporting combo back the way of the United States now, and they're going to start to take the score lead back. But one thing I wanted to point out, there is a huge Deathstream section that comes up about 3/4 of the way into this map as a 3-way break comes out for Poland. It's just not who's holding on. There's about 170 note Deathstream with 2 Buzz Sliders in the middle of it, and then everybody from Space Stream. We don't even get there. We don't even get to the Death Stream at all. That Space Stream kills the lobby except for Rectagon. 80k in favor of the US, and the only person able to hit that one difficult pattern, the only person with combo in the lobby. And here's the Death Stream finally coming out. If he hits this, it is game over for Poland, and that is just so much combo, so much score. He misses right at the end. That cut at the end of a Death Stream is devious. But it doesn't matter. There's no combo anywhere in the entire lobby except on Window Life. And that is the United States 5-1 in this match. Carry players be damned, old kings be damned. This is the dynasty. This is the greatest country in World Cup history. And this is their strength of roster. This is their pop-off player who can always find someone to trade it off to.
Rectagon, 810,000 score, besting every single score in the match yesterday by almost 300,000, besting every score in the match today by almost 300,000, and 4 misses hitting just everything but the ending of the long stamina section. And a Window Life 600k to boot, improving the score from the last time. Taquito also with a boost. Pez just 100k down, but I mean, that's the difference of finding 1 miss on that wide angle section. And the United States, they've broken the curse. The 4-1 has not withstood the test of time. It is a 5-1 now for the United States, and a necessary one at that. Remember, a bracket reset required for the United States to pull their title back here. Poland, they just need one of these 2 matches. It's not looking too good for them right now, but there is still a Poland pick on the board right now to kickstart their opportunity of bringing this one back through. It seems like it's a long way, but 4 points does also include 2 of Poland's own picks, so they only need to win 50% of the time on the other half here, and there is a bit to go. Now, what do we think Poland goes for here as this pool starts to shrink? Oh, well, that answers it. That was fast.
I mean, I think Poland still have a lot of pretty healthy options here, and you know, most notably, I think you should be looking in Nomad 5 at some point to be in pretty strong favor of Poland. I think out of everyone I was speaking with, I think it was just assumed that USA would be banning that one out after what the Poland did on Header in finals. So that one's still up. You know, they still have a very, very strong pick, and we will be seeing out of place here Nomad 3, some rhythm alt with the touch of, you know, almost a little bit of speed, some bursts in it as well. Not going to be a problem for most people in this lobby, I think, but I think this is another map that, you know, if you're looking at the star players on Poland, I think it's what they're looking to play, but I think the USA is very well equipped to match this. You know, their full team pretty much all seem to run pretty fine on this. However, I think for a map like this where you'd perhaps be looking at one of their specialist players on the side of the USA, like Ethan, Ethan did not play this. They ran Taquito, Decaden, Rectagon, and Pez, and they all did pretty well. But again, I think if you have Malashevsky and you're looking, you know, not just Malashevsky, Milosh too probably on this, but like you're looking at this and you're looking at the other team basically only getting 300, 400 Ks. I think it's a reasonable pick to take after you just double FC'd Hidden One earlier, right? Like it's not exactly the same type of skill set, but I think it's kind of the same player archetype map wise. So perhaps looking at another masterclass here from these two.
Well, this is kind of a defining pick in this match right now. If you think about it, you know, there's still plenty of opportunity for Poland to take a hold on this match again if they sort of, you know, step back and rethink their strategy right now. Again, it's 4 points and it's 2 consolidated break points, but this could be the road to coming back for them here as they look for this pick to kickstart it. It should also be noted, you know, it's a bit of a stretch and maybe more for the narrative than anything, but, you know, even if this does go bracket reset, the United States is technically 0-1 in bracket resets against Poland. So just, you know, maybe looking for some confidence on the Polish side right now, you know, push through the remainder of this match. It seems like it's a long way because it's a best of 13. There is so many maps to go through here, and it really does all start with out of place right now. Poland needs to find a confident pick right now, or I think they need to take a timeout after this.
There's a pretty important narrative I want to vocalize here as we get into this, because the intro is going to be pretty easy. I don't think you're going to be seeing many breaks on this before the song picks up. But there is a bracket reset here. Poland is still in an advantageous position. There is some value in hiding some specific maps when you're probably doubting, you know, if you're looking at the scoreline, you're probably assuming there's going to be a bracket reset, right? So maybe hiding a couple of picks here. So, you know, I'm looking at what Poland has been picking so far, and I don't think it's not making a lot of sense to me. There's something going on here, I think, that they're not showing us. So I'm very, very curious to see, you know, if this does happen to go to bracket reset, whether or not these picks are going to look a lot different. Maybe they're hiding something that they're not showing us quite yet.
Bracket reset's always closer, and I don't think today is going to be any different if we do get to that point, but it's breaks on both sides here early. It's Nahus and Malashevsky to hold versus Pez and Rektigon, and as the supporting combos built up, we are going to very slowly approach that first key eye, that section where it starts to get a little bit more dense, a little bit more intensity thrown on as Taquito does break this rhythm section here, and now here it comes.
The first big flowing difficulty section here where you get these really tricky square streams, the streams that double back on top of themselves and obscure where the next note is. Everybody missing on Poland there besides Malashevsky. The only one to hold through that section, it's Pez matching him with the full combo, and Decaton still holding that big support for Pez. So the score lead staying with the United States for now, and building in their favor as well. More misses to come through for Taquito and Shedis. Former Polish captain there, Shedis, not quite able to hold during that section. But this is a really interesting spot to find yourselves in as the United States. Yes, you're in an advantageous position, but the one holding the full combo on the other side, excuse me, is Malashevsky. On a Rhythm Alt Nomad 3 like this, it is really, really tricky, but there he goes! I spoke his name into existence and the break came through instead. Pez now with the uncontested full combo for the United States, plus the big support from Decaton. He goes down. Pez follows suit shortly afterwards, and now there's just small combos everywhere and a 75k score lead for the United States. The AC relatively similar across the board, maybe slightly in favor of the US outside of Malashevsky, and the combo with these consistent resets across the board for everyone, really not doing anything to move this score line at all. And with a third of the map left, it's going to take a big pop-off combo for Poland to bring this back in their favor. Malashevsky, he has the biggest combo in the lobby right now, but everyone is going to build during this slow section. The question is, how long can Poland keep this advantage, and is it enough to bring it back at the end of this map?
Well, Pez has the combo, Decaton has the combo. It's a full 300 across the US. Poland here into this wiggle section does have the highest combo in the lobby. There is really no outlier here except now Shedis finding the break. That's a 400 combo lost for Poland. Big dense pattern here. It catches 3 players off guard, 2 on the United States, and that keeps things dead even for the 2 teams. It's Rektigon and Pez, that #1 score for the US right now, finds a break at the ending. It's Malashevsky and Milos into the hardest section at the ending of the map. Malashevsky Malashevsky finds a break, and all it's going to take is a miss from Rectigon to give this to Poland, but he doesn't find it. There's one more section after the rhythm bit at the ending here. Milos has it. It's sub 50k, and Milos finds the break before he even say anything. Rectigon into the ending. 340k and climbing. 90,000 overall for the United States, and this is the worst possible doomsday scenario for Poland. This is the 1-6 lead now for the United States. Match point on their own pick, with Rectigon finally missing at the ending, and now Poland in the do or die zone. The United States looking for the bracket reset, and Poland now maybe already setting themselves up for their plan in the next set in a dominant fashion for the US. 121k. What a combo from Pez.
And I just want to point out, because Poland, by the way, would have beaten Australia's score from yesterday, would have beaten the US's score from yesterday as well. US got 1.33 million yesterday. Pez bottom scored yesterday with only 290k. He improved by almost 200,000 points, beat his score from yesterday by 180k. Sure, didn't top score the lobby, but this is the thing that we have been consistently talking about with Team United States throughout this grand finals, throughout this tournament. When you face them off against Poland or against Australia, like we saw yesterday, or against Poland last week in the winners finals, it's always about whether the team consistency for the United States, whether the roster depth and the ability for any of these players to find their pop-off run on a given day is enough to outweigh that single carry player on the other side. Malashevsky set the top score in the lobby. He was the best player across both teams on that map, but unfortunately, the support just was not quite there enough for Poland to be able to take advantage of that fact, and the United States now match point up, go with DT3.
I like this. I like this as a pick. Again, there's not a lot of information to be found, at least in OWC. You could go back several years. These maps aren't played, they're always banned. You're in a 6-1 position here. It's looking really good for the USA. I think you have some breathing room. So it's nice to go for a pick that is very uncertain, I think, on paper. There's not a lot of history. When they played this in finals, they played each other in finals, Poland banned DT3. So, you know, not a lot of precedent to go with here. I think it's important before you head into this, you know, potentially head into this bracket reset, to get this information, see if this is playable or not. I mean, DT2 looked pretty good for them, so get one more in. And I think as far as who's playing this, I think for maybe even both teams here, I think this is pushing the speed game a little too high for a lot of people in both of these teams. I think, like, you're gonna see a couple people do pretty good on this, but I think when it comes to the roster depth part of this, as much as we've been praising the USA for this, I'm not fully sure if they actually have 4 for this. This might be a little too fast, and I think the same is going to be said for Poland here. I think this is a little too high up, I think, for you know, the players that you'd expect to be doing good on this to you know, with certainty do good on this. But I don't know. Well, maybe with you know, so I think some players, when they're in a match like this with high nerves and stuff and the adrenaline, kind of helps the speed a little bit sometimes, but it can be a little bit double-edged. We do see sometimes it doesn't quite help. I think a lot of people collapse under the pressure, but I think the adrenaline might help here to round out the rosters as we get into this DT3 and Grands finally.
This might be one of the most solo carryable picks in the entire pool. If you have somebody who can play stamina at this BPM, then you are just going to absolutely run away with this pick. And it's very polarizing in that sense, that if you don't have a player who is extremely confident on this, then everyone else is certainly not going to be of much help when your number 1 player isn't there. So really looking for the accuracy on this map to denote who is comfortable. Raph, of course, going to be comfortable on the 292 BPM tapping. Window Life is, of course, going to be comfortable on this, and it's really just about who's going to have that better side support. And right now, Pez and Rectigon doing maybe just a tiny bit better than Poland's support, as Evil Grape finds a miss, and now it's just the supporting combo of Shedis as Milos and Rafis hold. Rectigon does find a miss, though, and now we're basically even.
We're pretty much even in terms of the combos now. It's 2 FCs to 2. Problem is big support right now for Shedis. It's on 93 Ack, so it's going to be slow bringing this lead back over to the side of Poland. But the Ack on the full combos is better. Never mind. There goes Rapis. That's the big FC down for Poland. And there goes Milosh as well. Both of them are just down a third of the way into the map. And the USA double FC still intact for Window Life and Pez. These 16 plus note 290 BPM streams are so ridiculously hard. Everyone is finding breaks. Pez goes down. It's just Window Life with the FC now. Milosh holding a little bit of combo for Poland, but that's outdone by Taquito there in the bottom left for the United States. 92 Ack, but 600 combo in Window Life. Still on the FC halfway into the map. This map gets ridiculously tough at about this point, I believe, unless we've already passed that difficult section. The spacing went up and everyone's combos went down, and now we get a bit of a break. We get back to the bursts and jumps, and this section is going to be a little bit easier. This is the free combo in this map. It's not free, but it is the freest combo that Window Life is going to get with this massive FC for the United States. And this, Chillier, is looking like game number 1 over for Poland and the United States. The USA, should anything not go horrifically awry in the last half of this map, are going to take this set 7-1.
You know, Azer was saying something interesting before this match started, which is that, you know, maybe Poland is holding back a little bit on some of their picks because he sort of questioned a couple of them through here, but I guess the same can be said for the United States, right? They played at a late time against Australia. They played a lot of maps that we didn't think were, you know, fairly characteristic for them, and they left maps like this open. And just look at the scores from some of the top-level players on this. Window Life is demolishing everyone else in the lobby, and it's not even close right now. Milosh is going to be the only one to even come within range, and they find a break at the ending here, and it just keeps on going. When does he ever stop? Rectagon finds a break on a kick slider, but Window Life, he just keeps going. He finally finds a slider break at that, and he makes this map look so easy. And that is going to be a 900k finish for Window Life as the United States 7-1 the first set in a fashion and in a way that I didn't think I would ever see the United States come back to.
We talked before this match started, we talked in the pre-show about how close we expected this to be. Tiebreaker last week in the winners finals for Poland. The United States going to tiebreaker against Australia as well. Poland having looked a little bit better than Australia basically all tournament long. And the United States just throw that completely out the window. They come out fists swinging in this match and close it out before Poland even has a chance, really, to pick any of their best maps. 7-1 is a dominant scoreline, even if you're taking a look at a lot of the early maps and saying how close they were. 7-1 for the United States is not something that I think basically anyone was expecting going into this match.
I don't think a lot of people were expecting this, but this is not unfamiliar territory. We have been here a couple years now. The USA coming back from losers and looking really dominant, and then Grands has shown to deliver. The bracket reset has shown to deliver in the past, so we'll see if this keeps going this time. There's a lot of maps left in this pool that I think are still unseen, very much unconfirmed. There's some new information to play with now. I think Poland is probably looking to rethink a little bit of their picks here. I think the free mods were not working out when Boshi is there, but it could be different next time around. There is going to be like a 5-minute-ish break between these two, but yeah, the USA looked pretty damn good on that. I mean, Window Life having his map there, probably the biggest carry performance we've seen on the USA on both this first match and their match against Australia. Chiller, I think the Window Life looked really good on the last one, and I think it's good to have that one player that is able to match the star power performance that Poland, you know, just has looming around the corner, right? So I think that's really valuable.
There's a lot of interesting parallels you can draw from this match back to the match they had against Australia. But, you know, like you were saying, it's a bracket reset. Everything changes now. Poland could change their bans. The United States could change their bans. You know, we see it happen all the time. And even though there are arguments to be made for keeping the same banning strategy just to sort of have some semblance of consistency, we do often see teams switch things up. The question is, does Poland switch things up when the United States did have a couple of maps in that match that they won pretty handedly. I mean, Birth was 241k. That was a 456k we saw from Window of Life on a score gap on that last map. And likewise with the United States, Poland won Hidden 1 by 1.2 million score. That is completely unrecoverable in any normal sense of the word. Now, the question is, do you think Poland double FCs the map again between Malashevsky and Milosh? And that's sort of your kicker. And everything else was pretty close. So you're just banking on everything sort of reigning the same and running through the match in the way that you only know how. So you have to hope that Poland isn't shaken by this first match, that they maintain the picking strategy that we know that they can run with. They're strong on the aim. They are strong on some of these gimmick skill sets too, as proof by some of those smaller score gaps. I mean, 10,000, 39,000 on some of these picks, even just 100,000 difference between the United States, and that is not a major difference overall. So there is plenty of opportunity for Poland to be able to bring this back and make it much, much closer in this second set. Now, do they have enough in them to bring back 6 points over the United States? We're going to definitely have to wait until the match starts to see, but there is always variability in a bracket reset. And like I said before, the United States has technically never won a bracket reset against Poland. They have always been stronger in the reset, and I do think Poland did save a lot in that first match based on what we've seen from them earlier in the tournament. Likewise, the United States, they gave 125% in this match. They are not about to let themselves go down 2 years in a row from that first place spot, and Poland is going to have to give absolutely everything and more to win this next set.
I think there's a couple of maps as well that we didn't really see in this first set that I think could be some decent picks for Poland. I mean, just going off of the last match, Fremod 1, Fremod 2 were both super, super close, right? You had 10k on the Fremod 2, 39k on Fremod 1. And maybe you start thinking about picking into things like the Nomad 1 or some of the other more aim-focused maps, DT1, if it's left open by the United States. They did, of course, ban that out the last time around. We saw Nomad 3 and Hidden 3 and Hard Rock 3 for more kind of alt-focused maps, but we haven't seen some of the more tech-focused picks in this pool. Nomad 4 in particular is something that I think could be really, really good for Poland if the United States decide to leave that up this time around. Instead, maybe banning out something like the Hidden 1. Similarly, we could maybe see the DT4. It's a map that the USA lost versus Australia. It is a more speed-focused DT4 this week, but at only 225 BPM as opposed to the 270 or 290 that we saw in the two speed picks in this first set of Grand Finals. I think that map's a lot more accessible for some of the players on Poland like Malashevsky who would want to play some of the more tech-focused DT maps in this pool as well. And maybe, just maybe, we see something like that Fremod 4 super clip farmy alt map for Poland as something to take advantage of them having the two best players in the lobby, right? If you can lean into the skill cap for Malashevsky and Milosh on this, the hardest pool of the tournament, I think that's a valid strategy to just pick some really, really hard maps, because we've seen that the USA, their supporting players really have outscaled the supporting players for Poland. I think it's time to maybe just lean into the best players on your team for Poland. We'll see if that's the strategy they want to go with going into this last match, the bracket reset in Grand Finals.
I think there's 3 or 4 maps here I think I'd like to bring attention to. We haven't seen any of them, so that's why. Nomad 5 was untouched. It was left open. It was untouched. I think on paper, Poland looks really good on that one. Again, they completely demolished Header last week against the USA, and it looked really good. Hard Rock 1 is left open as well, which I think is another pick that's pretty favorable for USA here that we have not really seen them play. They still managed to keep it, and you did mention that Fremod 4 there, that Kobario song, the clip farm map, potentially pretty good. I think when Malashevsky and Milosh are going to do the things that they've done on Hidden 1 there, like that was crazy. I think that's another map that they could potentially do that on. And I think I would potentially like to see this Nomad 2 as well, perhaps being played. I think that is a potential good pick for Poland that was completely left up. So some things to watch out for in this next set as we get into bracket reset now here. Poland looking to take it back. And we'll see if there's any changes.
Get started here. For those wondering what a bracket reset is, because I know not all esports do a bracket reset, the OS World Cup is a double elimination tournament, meaning that in order to be eliminated from the competition, you must take 2 losses over the course of the entire tournament. The United States took their first loss in the winners' finals versus Poland just a week ago. And this weekend, Poland now just took their first loss against the United States in that first set, meaning that both teams have a singular loss now going into the second set, looking for the second. And man, the bans are switching up instantly. That might have been the fastest hidden one I've ever seen.
I mean, can you blame them?
Nope,
2
not at all.
FCs on that? Like, okay. Somewhat expected, let's be honest. Like, somewhat expected.
Get the hell out of here.
I was
no
questioning
chance.
Still whether or not they would actually do some changes on this, because, I mean, their 2 bans are good. The USA's 2 bans are very good. It was Nomad 4 DT1. I think those are very good bans, but I mean, that map was not close. Like, someone's got to say it.
Nope, they were dead. The United States was dead on that map. They were dead before the map even started. And if there was ever a pick to switch up your ban on, that was the one of the match. You know, I sort of talked about Poland maybe wanting to ban Pacific Girls because they didn't really have anyone that could compete with Window Life on that map, and he looked comfortable. Even then, that was not nearly as set of a ban switch up, I think, than that Hidden 1, because if Poland switches their bans, they potentially have to leave up either Hidden 2 or Hard Rock 2. And unless Poland was banning Hard Rock 2 for, like, the vibes, and I don't think they were because of how good the United States is, I don't think the Hidden 2 is a switch up. But they do, actually. They do end up leaving the Precision map open in lieu of that DT3, and I think really that's just on the basis of, okay, we have information that the United States is going to guaranteed win DT3 against us. Let's take our chances on a skill set that I do think Poland has some players for, even if the United States is favored on the Hard Rock.
I mean, this is what I thought their bans were going to be going into the first match. This makes sense to me. It's a solid adaptation. The Hard Rock 2 is really scary, I think, when there's people like Decaden and Rectagon on the other team, but I think Poland has a much higher chance on that one. On a, you know, compared to this DT3, that's a much more like binary skill set. You know, it's if USA is going to pull stuff like that, if Window Life is going to be able to pull stuff like that, and it didn't really look like anyone was going to match them, it's over. Like, that map is lost. Get it out of the way. I think it's a good adaptation, and we'll have to see if USA chooses to change theirs a little bit further here. I think you're going to see the Nomad 4. Yeah, no,
yep,
that one's not going to be changing. I think Malashevsky is just too scary on that map. Honestly, just way too scary. And
no
now
sliders.
I think, even looking at last year, when he wasn't even playing, right? The show match, not the show match, so the showcase replay that he was doing for Organics Decay was just absolutely ridiculous. It was unmatched. And so I think having that on your mind, I think is really scary. Now that he even has support on this Polish roster here, there are more people than just Malashevsky that are going to do really good on this one. So it's a good ban to keep up here for the USA, and it's going to be Poland to be picking first. And I mean, the board is wide open here. We'll have to see if they adapt, if they keep going with these free mod picks that are a little bit contested, or if they have something else in mind.
It's going to be tough. I mean, you know, Poland's singular map they won in the first set has been banned. So Poland either has to pick a map that was not selected in the first set, or they now risk picking a map that the United States won in the first set, which is always it's scary to first pick into that. Even if you think you can win the map still, it is a very apprehensive position to be in. Like, oh my goodness, if I make the wrong selection here, I could potentially be shutting my team down for map number 1. And all things considered, I think Night of Nights is the best pick for them here. It's gonna be the DT1, though, on the aim, which might be a good pick for Poland here, but, you know, I was maybe looking towards a Night of Nights replay. I mean, that was a 10,000 score difference, and it was on the basis of Boshiman putting up yet another 500k. Malashevsky missed once on a wide angle, but Poland going in for the mechanics aim on the speed here. They didn't look super, super good on the double time pool in the first set, so I'm maybe wondering if this super high AR aim is going to be a little bit more comfortable for them here. They certainly have the roster for it.
I mean, this was banned last time, right? So maybe looking to just start off strong on the pick that at least the USA feels they're disadvantaged on. I don't know if Poland is going to feel like they have the advantage on this one, but I think after seeing that it was banned out against them, it might make sense as a pick. And I mean, I think when you're looking at this roster and you know, outside of the top end of their roster, you know, they have a lot of players that really like this type of map. They've been pretty good on the DT1s so far in the tournament. But I think most importantly, this is a DT pick that Malashevsky can play. He didn't play DT3, he was too fast, right? So having a map like this that I think changes the dynamic of this team a little bit, where you're probably looking at some of their other players to do particularly well on this, and Malashevsky to be offering the support. But I mean, this is a pick that he's going to be able to show up on, and they're going to be able to have a much more fuller roster against a team in the USA here. I think that honestly did not look good on this. You know, with the DT score multiplier on this, I think all of their scores were in the 400Ks. No one had a standout performance. This DT team, or this USA roster, does not have like the DT1 guy. Like, there's no DT aim guy. There's so many wonderful players on this team, but no one particularly stands out outside of maybe Decaden sometimes.
Yeah.
Which I think Decaden was the one top score. Actually, no. Basically, they all had the same score pretty much. Decaden, Rectagon, Pez basically all had the same score, around 400K. For 450, 460. So we'll have to see if Poland feels more confident on this one. I think it's going to be really important for them to start this off strong, not off a break point. The mental's got to recover here. It's a brand new match, and I think they're looking to show us what they can really do now.
Let's see how they tackle this bracket reset. Poland now have as much information as they could possibly ask for. They've got the tiebreaker match from losers finals for the United States against Australia. They've got the first set of grand finals as well. Both teams now 1 win and 1 loss against each other in this tournament. This final match to decide everything for the OS World Cup 2025. Starting off, very, very early break for Rapis on the side of Poland for their first pick. Window Life to trade it out on the side of the United States. I think one thing to discuss with this map is there's a lot of hard sections in the first half of this, the first 2/3 of this map as well, as we get into this first Kiai time. But there is a section about 2/3 of the way in that is probably going to delete everyone's combo. So whatever the score is at about 2/3 of the way in is really, really important to take stock of, as just everyone is finding breaks during this first Kiai time. It's Milosh and Malashevsky to hold on. Takedo, Decaton, Nahus, and Rapis all finding breaks. It's Pez with the matching full combo for the United States, and Window Life on the support. Slight combo lead for Poland, a quarter of the way into DT1.
This needs to be the best performance we see from every single player in this lobby. This is the final set. There are no second chances here. Poland must win on this set in order to pull back their title from 2017. Pez, the only player on the United States standing in between them and their first point right now. Milosh and Malashevsky, some big combos here. Rapis and Window Life to trade the combo out, and that favors Poland even more. And if Poland is winning, like you said, at that big jump section here, I think it might all be over. Malashevsky finds a slider break, and that's maybe just a peek through the window for the United States in this jump section, as Pez once again becomes the player the United States needs. It's halfway through the map. It's Milosh and Pez. There is nobody standing in between them and their chances to carry their country to victory. Takedo falls. Rapis falls. It's Decaton and Pez. It's Milosh and Nahus. Window Life and Malashevsky don't matter. Takedo finds the drop. Decaton finds the drop, and it's Pez. And Poland looks to take their first map on the back of Milosh's FC.
Milosh still holding. He finally misses right at the end of the biggest diff spike in this map. That's where this map goes up to 9.1 stars. It's just on that diff spike, and he misses at the very, very end but no, there is just no combo anywhere. The biggest in the lobby, Window Life, just cresting 200 combo right now. The score is slightly going back the way of the US because of that slight combo lead, and it's only a 37k lead right now for Poland. They have to lock in for this ending. Rafis finding that miss there, going into the last quarter of the map, going into this last sliver. Pez also finding the drop. It's another trade from Rafis, and everyone else still holding. Taquito giving some combo back to Poland, but it's traded away by Malachevsky immediately. Milosh, Window Life, Kaiten, and Nahus all still holding 2 for 2 going into the ending here, and 30k still in favor of Poland. There goes Nahus. It's Kaiten and Window Life. They're eyeing to pull it back to the United States for another breakpoint to start off this bracket reset. There goes Window Life. There goes Malachevsky. It's Milosh and Kaiten matching 27k in favor of Poland, and they may have just done it barely by the skin of their teeth on this DT1. It is 830k for Milosh on the double time one. The carry player Poland needed the night for his general to take the win on double time one with a ridiculous near 99 AC 1 miss on Wonderstella.
Unbelievable from Milosh. A singular miss, a singular slider break, and almost 99% accuracy. And that is the Milosh that we expected to see in this grand finals. They've looked so good for the entire tournament. And that first set left us wondering, well, what is going to happen in this bracket reset? And they are going to take it and go out swinging here. And honestly, it remains to be said about losing a point like that if you're the United States. When you are in Poland's position right now, you expect to win that map, sure. It's our first pick, but there was also an element of uncertainty to it, because when you lose a set 7-1 and that many break points, every single point that you win after that is a motivating point. So for Poland, it's not only the fact that they won a map by a small margin, it's actually damaging, I think, to the United States to know that you were so close after a 7-1 victory to winning a break point at the start of the next set again, and to let that slip away from you. I think that might have actually done a little bit of damage to the United States.
And now we head into some hidden tech once again. This was played in the first match very early on, and at least to me, these scores did not look as good as you'd expect them to look from everyone in this lobby, I think. So now that we're all seated and comfortable and warmed up, and the nerves are out of the way, the chokes are out of the way, I think we might be looking to see some very different performances on this one. No one was over 400k on this the first time, but the USA did look a little bit favorable on this, taking it by 160k. But I think there's a lot of potential for some stand-up performances on both sides here. So I'm very curious on this one. I think this is going to be a very important map to determine what the narrative on this match here, because I think Poland has a pretty good chance at taking this, honestly. 160k was a big gap considering the scores on this were pretty low, but the potential is so high, especially after the hidden one that they pulled off that's now banned, right? So I think the context is a lot different, and I think this is a really important pick for USA to be able to hold here. I think dropping a breakpoint here, I think, is going to do some damage to their mental. So
waiting for that last player from Poland. Like you said, Pangea.
I think, yeah.
It is, yeah. I was hoping that, I don't know, maybe they were going to make a roster switch there. Maybe they had somebody who could pull back that last 100k, but does look like Nahus is going to be in here. And 160k, like you said, that's, not exactly a comfortable score margin for the United States when you've got a player like Malachevsky on the side of Poland, but also there were high miscounts on this map from Poland. The lowest miscount on the team was Evil Grape, who bottom scored with 19 misses. Everyone else in the low to mid 20s. Meanwhile, the United States, all three of their top scores, sub 20, even sub 10 for Taquito on that top score through. So this is very much going to be a point that I think we expect the United States to feel comfortable on. And if Poland is going to bring this one back in, they are going to need a serious turnaround from, I think, more than one player in order to come through. And we already saw that from the United States. They made a turnaround from their match against Australia in that first set against Poland. They looked a hell of a lot better in that 7-1 than they did going to tiebreaker. And now it falls to Poland, but it's two very early bad misses for them with one trade from the US.
And the last time around, the United States had both of the top scorers on this map. It's, you know, Poland has won their matches and maps so far in this match by top scoring with multiple players for their team. Not Milosh on the previous map, and of course Malashevsky and Nahus on the hidden one in the first set of grand finals. But there goes a lot of chain misses for the United States. Ethan Trix finding a massive chain miss, Caleb following it up. Takedo, the biggest combo in the lobby right now, though, still holding on for the US. It is only a 40k score lead right now, but that is because this map is just incredibly scrappy. Nobody able to hold basically any combo on this map, and that makes those big carry pop-off performances all the more difficult to find. If you cannot hold that FC, there's no way for you to build that ridiculous combo that you need to outscore everyone by a big margin. If you are a star player for your team, you're looking at Malashevsky to do something like that, but he is matched by Takedo on this pick, and from there, pound for pound, player for player, it is the United States all the way down with head-to-head wins in this lobby right now. Decate and Ethan Trix both well over 200k. Nobody on Poland above that mark right now, even with these consistent combo breaks coming through for the United States. Ethan Trix, Takedo falling, Malashevsky matches, Nahus matches, Sharitori matches. Caleb will also fall, but it is Decaton holding on to 600 combo for the USA. And the first time around, this map was won by only 160k for the US. It's not a huge margin. It's somewhat small, honestly. It's not super convincing. This time around, going to be an even larger margin of victory for the United States, close to a 200k win for them. And this map solidly US favored throughout the grand finals.
And there it is, once again, looking to be that Takedo top scorer. This is exactly what he is known for, that hidden player for the United States, good in all things that are flow aim every single time, and a 50,000 plus score improvement, almost 70,000 more than that first set, and that actually contributes to the majority of that score lead for the US. And the 160k was certainly not definitive, but it is going to earn them the win yet again. Poland's just not confident enough on the hidden flow aim, and the United States does not let a breakpoint slip away for their first map. So it is even Poland, United States right now, already looking better than they did in the first set. Poland pretty confident on that one. I think their team score improved by just the smallest of margins on that, if not the same.
I think it looked pretty similar on both sides, honestly, but I think the big difference here is Takedo able to find around 100k more than before. I think the potential on this map, I mean, even Takedo could have gone a lot higher than this. I mean, he was dropping 500k on the Australia match, so not going to matter though. It's enough. The job is done. So that map went well for them, and now we're back to Poland's pick, and I am so curious about this one, Chillier. There's so much adaptation here that could potentially happen for these picks here, and we're so early on. I think it's really hard to decide. We're trying to figure out where they go to. I think I'd like to see Nomad 1 or Nomad 2 here, but I don't know. There's a lot that they could go for with, honestly. There's all of the maps I mentioned previously that could go well for Poland that we didn't get to see. This Nomad 5 pick I'm curious about. This Fremod 4 pick I'm curious about, although I think that one is a little bit more coin flippy, but they're going to run back the Fremod 1 here, the density aim map with, I mean, this was the first pick, right? So again, I'm going to say the exact same thing, you know, compared to Panagia here that was just played. This was the first pick in the grand finals match. Everybody's nervous, right? Like, it's going to affect the scores, and I think this one might also look a little bit different. You're probably looking at Malashevsky here, who honestly had like missed on 1 or 2 patterns there, dropped 566k, but like I'm looking at a potential FC here still that like could very realistically happen, and I think looked a little bit more looks like he has a lot more potential than Boshi potentially does, even though Boshi hit like the hardest spike of the map and was the only player in the lobby to hit it, like that really crazy like bottom left to top right corner jumps that nobody else hit, just Boshi. So I think we'll see a run back on this one. All of the mods on this are really difficult, and I don't think Poland has a second standout player, I think, for the Nomads here. So I think this really is just Malashevsky and Boshi, man. I think that you're looking at a run back on a crazy 1v1 once again.
They were significantly higher than the next closest score on their teams, over 100,000 higher in both cases, 200,000 almost for Malashevsky. So maybe looking for a bit more team support on that one to get him across that finish line. It was only 39,000. I did actually pick out a potential Night of Nights pick for Poland as this next map here because they only lost that map by 10k, and it was actually more of a comfortable spot for Malashevsky, but Poland liking their odds on Chaos Collab, really kind of hoping that Boshiman isn't able to put up yet another repeat performance, but I don't know at this point. It was a 600k into a 500k for Boshiman, and that means that he does have room to go up from that performance again. Likewise with the other supporting scores on the United States, we know how well Decaton has been playing in this match today on that Hard Rock and likely going to be putting through that repeat. Same with Rectagon on that aim, looking for just that little comfortable spot that they need to find as Poland tries to get a second point on the board for this match and maybe do, again, a little bit more mental damage here. It is, you know, sort of left to be said, does picking a map that you lost in the first set and winning it in the second set do more mental damage than just losing a regular map? And honestly, I'd say it does. If you know that you already had an advantage and you let it slip away, then it's more of a we could have had this and didn't rather than a we lost the opposing team's pick. So there is a lot of sort of mental stuff we could dig into here for Poland.
I mean, we keep saying they lost a pick, but I think an important detail is that they lost it by 39,000 points. That is like a scratch on one of the 4 players, right? Could very well have happened any other way here, but I think you're looking at this map as sort of a turning point in Poland's strategy here, because I think if it happens again, that's probably when they're going to start looking at changing things up here. You're not going to see Fremont 2 most likely after that, but if they show that they can pull it off on this one and show off that this is actually a worthy first pick for them, you know, maybe we see what they wanted to see in the first match here.
Scratch so far for everyone now. Rectagon finally goes down. It's just Malashevsky holding on to the one unscathed score in the lobby. And this is what you were looking for the first time around. If you were rooting for Poland on your first pick, you are looking for Malashevsky to come in and be that best player in the lobby. He is one of the best tournament players in the world for many people, the single best tournament player in the world, certainly the most decorated tournament player of all time. And this is the biggest trophy in the world. He is looking to finally get the single biggest accomplishment that any tournament player can have, which is winning the World Cup. And he is looking good so far in this map. That said, Poland overall, they are only up by 6,000 points at the halfway mark right now. Another break to come through for Nahus. There's a little bit of combo on Shari Tori to match Decaton on the side of the United States, but Boshiman is building back up that big no-mod combo for the United States. He is on impeccable accuracy as well, and halfway into this map, there he goes as well, actually finds the break on the slider stream. That's the pattern we talked about the first time around on this map that could potentially send this map one direction or the other. This time around, it does send it in favor of Poland. Boshiman trading out on the slider stream, Decaton breaking on the Hard Rock afterwards, and now it's Malashevsky and Shari Tori, both unmatched. The commander and his knights all working in tandem to bring this pick home for Poland this time around. 39k is indeed a scratch, but that is all they will get on this map. Malashevsky and Shari Tori do find the misses, but that is a real quick 150k advantage for Team Poland on this free mod 1, and the USA has only so much map left to bring that back. It is about a third of the map left here. Boshiman and Rectagon and Decaton have some big combo for the US. This could still come back, but look who it is. Nahus holding on to big combo on Hidden of all mods, able to bring back some score, able to mitigate the losses for Poland when they need it the most. Rectagon to trade out on the Hard Rock, Boshiman to trade out on the No-Mod, and suddenly Nahus' combo alone is enough to match both Taquito and Decaton, and Poland are safe for now from the advance of the United States.
It's 110,000 for Poland right now. Nahus, known for his hidden aim ability, going to be moving through the end of this map comfortably. It's Taquito and Decaton to find a miss, and any chance of the United States making a comeback here is now lost. And the very, very slight margin that the United States had on this map in the first set disappeared in an instant. Breaks be damned for Poland. Koshi RX 600 combo, and there is nothing the United States can do. Gonna be a little bit disappointed with the overall performance from that top end here, and unfortunately, the one-time Boshi man does not find that 500 or 600k score gap. It is the difference for the United States. It's 150,000 for them, and there is nothing that can save them in the ending of this map, as Poland does not let yet another chain of breakpoints slip away. They will secure the second point in the bracket reset, and we already have a better match on our hands to a significant degree. The United States, 163,000 in favor of Poland, now look for their next pick through, and that is going to be a tough one for them. That's gotta hurt.
I mean, this makes more sense. This is why they're first picking this last match. I think this is what they wanted to show. I mean, Nahus with a 100k or so score upgrade from the first map here, making a pretty significant chunk of that difference, honestly. But yeah, I mean, it is hard to find the consistency to do this over and over again, right? I mean, you've seen Boshi man do super good on this 3 times now, I think. But it's hard to do it over and over and over again. 500k last time. So, I mean, it's tough. But now I think you can perhaps feel a little bit more confident about Poland's, pick strategy. Perhaps they are looking at that 9 of Knights again afterwards. But before we get to that, we have to consider what the USA goes for. The playing field is a little bit different here. There's still a lot of maps that have not been played that are pretty good for them. Again, that Hard Rock one I think is pretty solid for them. Yeah, they're going to go for more of the Hard Rock pool again. I think, again, in finals, the USA just won all 3 of the Hard Rocks. They picked all 3 of them. They won all 3 of them. Earlier today, they picked this in the first match, and they also won this pretty confidently. So solid pick to go for. I think this one is also one of the few maps that are pretty comfortable. Actually, it's still quite difficult, but most of this map has a lot of downtime that's kind of nice to just to boost confidence. Like there's a lot of this that's for these players pretty free to hit. So I think after high stakes match, now they're realizing that like Poland's actually here to play now in this one. We're no longer just getting by for free. We got to work for this thing. So I think it's nice to just have that like stable map for them to play on this. And we'll have to see if they go for any different player swaps here. But I mean, despite all their roster depth, I think the Hard Rocks look pretty consistent for them. I think they rarely do that many swaps. So I wonder.
Should be safe overall for the United States on this pick here. It was 200,000-ish, which again, it's a lot more comfortable when you look at that compared to the last map at sub 40k. So I'm liking their chances on this map overall. But again, it's just gonna come down to, do we see the Poland from the first set, or do we see the Poland that I think everyone expected to see today? And we've already gotten a glimpse of what Poland was expected to be in this bracket reset right now. The Poland that we saw in the finals in the winners bracket, and the team that we know can take down the United States. They've done it once. They did it in tiebreaker last week, and this being a slightly harder pool would maybe affect certain teams in this tournament. It's not really going to affect Poland. They have more than enough players for this difficulty range and all of these skill sets. So it was a little bit disappointing to see that 7-1 in the first set, and I'm so excited that we're, actually getting to see the best of what Poland can offer in this set. With that being said, the United States has an extremely strong Hard Rock roster. They do not often lose Hard Rock maps, especially to Poland, and I would be remiss to see them let this one go. Maybe the most likely going to be that Hard Rock one because it's so aim heavy. And to be honest, the United States has not looked super strong on aim in this match.
Yeah, this one was one off of Window Life, dropping 560k here, over 1,000 combo in this one the first time around. I think that'll be hard to replicate, but I think it's also worth noting on this team, Decaden also dropped a 384k score on this. I think there's a lot of potential for him to do a lot better on this one. So I'd be pretty scared, I think, to have to play this against the USA here, running it back.
I mean, it was also, right, the number 2 and number 3 score for the US and Pez and Rectigon were both ahead of the number 2 score for Poland. So it was a lot of people doing very well on Hard Rock for the United States the first time around, and Poland did have, of course, a 500k score from Malashevsky the first time. So potential there for him to carry this map. Potential for improvement as well on the side of Poland, bringing in the same roster as last time. Going to come into this a little bit better practiced on the map, having already played it once in the grand finals. And the score lead for the US on this one was under 200k. It's a decently sized score lead in grand finals, but not unwinnable the second time around. As we get into the first Ki time, United States all still holding, Poland all still holding. 3 FCs for the Polish squad. There's the break for Decaton, the first one to come out in this first Ki time. 3 big combos, one of them an FC for the United States, but it's 3 full combos for Poland. There goes Pez, Decaton trading once again. Those are the only misses so far. Window Life, Nahus, and Kosirek all finding the break on that pattern. Milosh also gone, and suddenly it's the 1v1 and 1v0. Rektigon down, Malashevsky the only one to hold. And this is the fear for the United States, is that the best tournament player in the lobby, the player with the most tournament wins, the most badges in open rank out of anyone in the world, comes in to this ridiculously difficult 8-9 star pool and just puts on a show. Malashevsky, the general for Poland, the commander and their strongest knight, holding the full combo halfway in.
Malashevsky 1000 combo standing alone, and it should be noted that Poland just looks really good on this map right now in general. They had a 100,000 score lead before the last FC dropped on the United States, meaning that Malashevsky, even though he's the top scorer, he was bonus on top of the rest of the roster right now. Milos matching Rektigon, who does find a break now, and this is a situation that the United States are not unused to. I mean, they already went through this in the third place matchup, dealing with a player who can FC 80% of this map pool, so it's not going to be the worst point for them, but it's certainly going to look pretty bad when you won this by 200k and the United States is about to lose it by 600,000 by the ending, as long as everything maintains the same. And Poland looking for their first break point of the match so far and their first lead of the night.
And it is most definitely going to be that breakpoint, Chillier. Malashevsky is still going strong on this Hard Rock 3. He is cooking up a ridiculous score for us here in the grand finals. Nahus, Kosirek finding the breaks around him. Everyone on the USA finding breaks besides Window Life. Milosh, the only one left standing. Malashevsky finding a break here finally at the end of the map, but 900k plus on this Hard Rock 3 is an absolutely ridiculous score for any player to put up in the grand finals. Malashevsky, the hero Poland needed to win that map, and he does it in ridiculously dominant fashion. A 470k score lead for Poland off the back of that 900k pop-off, plus everyone on Poland above 400k this time around.
That was insane. That was ridiculous from Poland. The score improvement from a 1.68 million to over 2 is unbelievable. And the United States, they didn't even do that bad. They were within 30,000 score of their first set performance, which means that this was just Poland once again coming into the form that we expected to see them here in this match. And it's why everyone was left absolutely stunned at the result of that first set, because this is the Poland we expected to see today, and they are going to give us a show, and be damned if they are going to let this one slip away without making the United States shake, because this is the turning point right now. Poland up 3-1, and this is now a Poland pick going into here, a 4-1 potential on this, unless the United States is somehow able to get maybe a little bit of a lucky performance here and steal a break point immediately off. But that's that interesting spot we see all the time. Poland 4-1, but it's off of a very, very close margin here.
It's time to sound the alarms. Malashevsky is logged in. He's here. The worst fears. And there it is. We were wondering, I was wondering, when they were going to take this one out of their pocket. It's going to be now Azure Destiny. I mean, this team, they like aim. And I mean, come on. It's Azure Destiny. Azure Arbitrator is back on this one against the USA. It's a good pick, and I think, you know, this is probably, you know, especially after Malashevsky drops a score like this, I think this is the exact type of situation when you're kind of on the back foot, and you see a guy on the other team doing this type of thing. This is when you really do start to sound the alarms here a little bit. USA is going to be finding themselves in a little bit of a tough spot, I think, here if they can't manage to do good on this one. But I mean, I think, Chili, to me, this looks pretty favorable for Poland, this pick.
I have been saying it through the first set. I'm going to say it again in the second set. AIM is favored to Poland. Whether or not you think the United States is good or not at AIM, it doesn't matter. Poland is better at AIM. It is their number one skill set as a roster. They have Malashevsky, they have Nahus, they have Milos, and they have proven to us in both of these sets that they are extremely good at AIM, because the maps that they lost by 10k and 30-something K, they were both AIM maps. They just had unfortunate misses. And it was mostly because we saw Malashevsky maybe just getting a bit of a slow start to the match. And now that we're seeing Malashevsky in the form we expect to see him in, I think we're going to be getting a lot more of what is expected, which is Poland winning these big AIM mechanics picks in this style here. Now, some of these bursts and some of these streams are very difficult, and they could catch players on Poland off guard, but I just do not like the way the United States has looked on AIM in this match thus far either. They have just been shaky, they've been inconsistent, and it doesn't give me confidence that this is the map that they would take a break point on. I think it's possible later in the match, but if there was ever a pick to go Poland's way to consolidate that break point and make this a 4-1 in their favor, it has to be this Nomad one.
I mean, it's hard to discount them. I think it's important to note that I think on paper Poland has the advantage here. But I mean, no one on USA did particularly bad when this was played against Australia. Like, we still see 400Ks on every single player. Decadent had 500K on this. There is some potential for them to be taking this. So this one, not super one on paper, but I think it's an important pick for USA to stay alive on.
After that early 1/3 stream section, we have a couple of breaks to take stock of. Takedo and Rektigon down for the United States. Nahus and Malachevsky down for Poland. That leaves Milos and Evil Grape Sharitori for Poland on the FC versus Decaton and Pez on the United States. The top row versus the bottom row for both of these teams. We have another big stream section about a third of the way into this map, and in the meantime, you're going to see a lot of misses come through on these jumps, these 280 BPM alt-style jumps. Well, not alt-style, really, alt-BPM, but relatively comfortable, a little bit awkward in some cases, but it's really just all snap aim here. Sharitori, Rektigon finding some of those early breaks, as Milos still holding onto the FC. Same for Decaton and Pez. Another break to come through there for Sharitori, as the United States pulling ahead very, very slowly on this map. This is a long one. It is nearly 5 minutes long. So you're going to expect to be here for a while on this pick. Coming in to the next more difficult sections, we're about a quarter of the way in. We have a little ways to go until that next 1/3 stream. And until we get into the next bigger sections, more misses to come through for Sharitori, and it's the extra combo for the United States doing a lot, but there go Takedo and Decaton on that 1/3 stream section. That's why I keep mentioning it. It so often claims those combos for either team, and this time it's the United States to fall on it. Milos still holding the FC, Malashevsky and Nahu still holding the reverse chokes. There goes Rektigon for the United States as well, and this is why we were talking about this map being Poland favored. Even if you're just looking at the aim sections, they have had more players to hold combo. There goes Nahu's finally, that reverse choke down now for Poland, but it's the one FC to match for Pez and Milos on each team, and then Malashevsky holding the reverse choke for Poland, bringing that combo lead over to their side halfway in.
And this is a tiebreaker length map, which means tiebreaker score gaps do take effect here, and that 70k is massive for Poland, not even as a normal gap, but because of these combos they have. Hez, the only player standing for the United States right now, Rektigon, Takedo, and Decaton all Fine breaks Rectagon being Bancho, but it's still only 400 combo there. Poland with a double FC basically here. Milos finally to find a break, but it's Malashevsky still at a 1400 combo. It's 100,000 lead for Poland. Malashevsky would need to have an absolute meltdown right now to give this to the US, and we've got more stream sections coming up for these switches right now. They need some help on the side of the United States. One combo will not stand. Nahus, 600.
This one.
This is the jump, and it's everyone, but
there it is.
Malashevsky holds! What do you do?
That's the map. That's it. No, it's not actually. Malashevsky misses, but there's just
that's
no
the map.
combo anywhere for the United States. This big diff spike here just clears everyone out of the lobby. Milos falls on the 1/3 stream afterwards, and there is just nothing that anyone can do on either team at this point to bring this map back for their team. The United States down 170k with a maximum of 250 combo on either Taquito or Pez, and Poland up the same amount, not even 200 combo anywhere finally for Milos and Nahus on their side. It is an unwinnable proposition for the United States at this point. The map is over, decided by the combos before that big diff spike, and Poland are going to go up 4-1 in this match. If this map were close, we would have one last big jump section about this far into the map right before the outro, but it's not going to matter here. Nearly 200,000 points for Poland. They're going to go up 4-1 in this match. They've consolidated that break point, but they are still only up 1 break point. Fantastic scores from Malashevsky to match Pez on that ridiculous run he had in the first half of the map, plus the 580k from Milos to bring the score lead over to their side. And it's a successful point. It's a massive lead right now for Poland, but it's only 1 break point. That is not all that big in the grand scheme of things. Last match in the first round of grand finals, we saw the US go up 4-1, but that was with 2 break points. They had won 2 of Poland's picks to that point in the match. Right now, Poland has only won 1 of the USA's picks, so this is not quite as big a lead as it lets on. We'll have to see if Poland are able to keep this lead throughout the rest of the bracket reset.
Well, the question being now is, regardless of whether or not the United States is able to break this 4-1 curse, they are still down 3 maps in a bracket reset where they weren't even within reaching distance on a first set. And the turnaround from Poland, from Malashevsky and Milos in this second set, is unbelievable. And the United States picking into this Hard Rock 2 that was banned against them in the first set, they are going to capitalize on their Hard Rock abilities here, hoping that this Hard Rock roster is going to be able to match up from this performance on Poland right now. They have got their work cut out for them. Malashevsky is an extremely proficient precision and tech player regardless with Hard Rock, and with the way he's been playing in this match thus far, and to be honest, the way that some of the usual US Hard Rock players have been playing, their odds of winning maps like this are very, very slowly lowering, and they need to find it now.
I mean, this is going to be a really good pick for their mental, I think. Just always nice to be able to pick what the opponents banned out. However, I mean, Poland clearly had some changes in this bracket reset here. They're coming out with new picks. You know, I had a feeling there was some surprises, and I think something that is, you know, there's some potential here that, you know, I'm not saying this is what happened or what they potentially had in mind, but if you're up on the winner's side of a bracket reset match like this, we've seen some bait bans before, you know.
It's true, absolutely.
I don't think Poland's any bad at this map at all. Like, they're gonna do fine on this. It's just some Hard Rock Tech slider aim. Like, Malashevsky eats that up, no problem. USA definitely looks favorable, though. I think most notably with people like Decaden on this, I think are gonna look really good. But I mean, again, they didn't have any particular standouts on this. 400Ks across the board. They bring Boshi Man for this as well, who you know, is definitely one of the best precision players in the world, but this one's got a lot of slider aim, it's got a lot of other skill sets mixed in, and I think it gets a little tricky for him to contribute that much, and he had a little bit of a weaker score on this. Definitely just filling as the 4th player on this one, or at least that's what it seemed like. So, you know, I think this is an extremely important pick for the USA to do good on. Not only win, but just win, decidedly win on this. Like, it needs to look good, I think, for them, because I think they're starting to be a little bit forced into picking the couple maps they have left that I think they're confident on. It's going to be Hard Rock, so we're going to be seeing Hard Rock 2 here, and I think they're going to be probably forced into Hard Rock 1 after this just to get it out, if it is as advantageous for them as I think it is. But I mean, Poland definitely has a solid chance on this with how good Malashevsky's been playing. I mean, he logged in. So
Yep.
I'm very curious to see how this one. I think this one is very pivotal.
This is going to be a deciding factor here. We saw the United States break the 4-1 curse, but like Dio said, it was 2 break points versus 1. The United States has looked good on the Hard Rock the entire tournament. They have yet to let it slip up. Eyes on Pez and Decaton with how they've been playing in these matches thus far, and there are so many maps left in this pool for the US if they are able to win this here, but gosh, if the United States is not able to take their own pick here, that could be the nail in the coffin. And it's Malashevsky, the only full combo remaining on Poland through this intro. We are not nearly into the hard section of the map yet, but here come the first set of sliders. This double potentially missable, and 2 players on the United States miss it. That is one of the jump scare patterns in this map, but as we come into this first Ki now, it's sliders, it's aim control, it's these dense triples in these alt sections here. Nahus the only one to fall, and the United States is not in an advantageous position right now. Milos breaks on the slider, and now maybe the United States is a little bit more safe, but it's Malashevsky and Kosciarek.
It's Malashevsky and Kosciarek. It's Decaton and Rectigon for the United States. It's Pez and Nahus with the supporting combo for either of their teams. Bashi and Milos trying to build back up right now. This is a generally low-scoring map. We didn't see anything above 500k there, but there goes Kosciarek. There goes Bashi as well. It's just Malashevsky really now for Poland. But Decaton is matching with the FC for the United States halfway in. It's Rectigon and Pez holding on to really big combo as well. Pez can match Nahus. There goes Rectigon, though. That is a huge drop for the United States. It's traded by Milos, but Bashiman also dropping means that the United States no longer has that combo lead. It is ever so slightly in favor of Poland. Pez finding the slider break there is huge. That is now big combo lead for Poland. Nahus uncontested on that 500 supporting combo. It's still, though, the matching FCs. These 2 plays for Decaton and Malashevsky are the most important scores in the lobby. Nahus does find the drop, but there goes Malashevsky, there goes Decaton. Everyone is dropping. The United States has had a 4-way drop in this section, and Milos and Kosciarek are still holding. It's Milos down. It's Kosciarek, the only one to hold across all 8 players in the lobby. He finally drops, and now the score is ever so slightly in favor of the United States. More scores coming through, dropping for Malashevsky, Nahus, and Kosciarek. Once again, the combo ever so slightly in the United States' favor. The score moving slightly in their favor. 30k into the last quarter of the map, now growing to 40k in favor of the United States. And Poland, they need to hold on if they want to take this break point, but the United States, down 1-4, are holding strong on this pick. They are just barely eking out every advantage they can possibly take into the end here. It's one trade for another. It's Decaton passing the torch to Pez and Rectigon at the end of the map. Pez finally finds the drop, but Rectigon still holding here. The slight combo lead is all they require to take this pick. 50k in favor of the United States, and they will no longer be down 4-1. They will take their pick by the skin of their teeth, eking out that win bit by bit, combo by combo, across all 4 members of that lobby.
And a bit of an uncertain one at that. The United States, with this map gone in the first set, now pick it through. The combos rain in, and Decaton, the hero for the United States. It is an understatement to say that this guy is playing like a beast through these 3 matches in the grand finals weekend. A 600,000 score besting Malashevsky, 97.57% AC on a Hard Rock slider map, and was the difference maker on this. And now we see Poland go in for Night of Nights. This was the smallest score gap in the first set, 10,408 points, and it all came down to Malashevsky versus Bashi, man. And with the way Malis has been playing saying in this second set, that is not who I want to be going up against in this situation. The United States now at the front door of their first opportunity to make this match even. This is one of two potential chances that the United States has to take this one breakpoint back. They've got one here that could potentially send Poland to 5-2, but the United States wins one after that, and they've got one more chance before that match point is forced on that tiebreaker. There is time, but it is running out, and if there was ever a map for Poland to finally assert their dominance on this match, it's going to be this one here to take that breakpoint back through.
I mean, they ran back the Fremont one before. It worked pretty well for them, so they did choose to run this one back as well. You did say this was a little too close for comfort, I think, but I mean, again, it's another map that was picked really early on that I think has a lot more potential for a lot more people in the lobby. And I'm curious about this one. Again, this is we're starting to get like a little bit later in this match now, where every single map starts to matter so much, right? Like I think if Poland is able to take this one, you're looking at, you know, one more map until match point, right? It gets in your head. It's so difficult to deal with all the stress of being in grand finals of the biggest tournament of the year, right? It's a big moment here, and I think if Poland is able to take this one here, they're definitely going to establish themselves as, you know, taking the larger step forward here, and definitely just, you know, one more step up on the podium here for them.
Ethantrix in for this one once again, continues to fill that hidden slot pretty well. Looked better in the first set than they did against Australia, but again, both of those hidden players were the bottom scores, and it just goes to show how difficult this map is on the hidden. The big difference is going to be the Hard Rock roster for the United States again, going for that overmod on Decaton and Rectigon, and we want to see that improvement from Decaton from the first set. A 200 max combo was almost the lowest in the lobby aside from Evil Grape on that hidden at only 335k, and you need to see the early combos for them. The United States looking for that 3-4. Poland trying to close this match out as early as they possibly can. And on a map that the United States only won by 10k, all the chance in the world for Poland to let Malashevsky absolutely run away with this on the Nomad. And it's all going to start here in these early jumps. Who is confident? Who has the consistency? And who's going to be ready for these aim patterns? And both teams holding.
I think holding is maybe underselling the amount of breaks we're getting early on here, Chillier. Ethantrix, Rectigon, Decaton all finding breaks for the USA. Milosh and Sharitori both finding the breaks on the modded plays for Poland right now. It's just Boshiman on the FC for the US, but two no-mod players for Poland, Malashevsky and Kosirek on the full combo right now. A third of the way in, and this is actually better for the United States despite that. There goes Boshiman, but Malashevsky instantly trades it out. And the early combos for the United States are just more consistent than the support for Poland. And that's really where the score lead is coming from. Decaton's accuracy on Hard Rock, plus that boosted Hard Rock multiplier on Score V2 is doing so much work for the score, keeping it up there with the likes of that 99% No-Mod FC from Kosirek. Even with that break from Ethantrix, it's matched by Milosh, it's matched by Sharitori, it's matched by Malashevsky. There's not all that many breaks for the United States, and this is not looking good for Poland. There goes Rectigon and Decaton, though. The two Hard Rock players trading it out on some massive jumps. There goes Ethan and Boskyman also. And suddenly disaster for the United States. It's a four-way reset, and Poland, the hero they needed most, Malashevsky, he is not the one full comboing right now. It's the unsung hero, somebody who was playing in rank-restricted tournaments until not too long ago, somebody who was on their 3-digit World Cup team, who has been there through a lot of the downswings of Polish OWC. It is Kosirek, who is pulling off a ridiculous FD right now. He still holds through all of this pattern aim, through all of the right angle jumps. He's holding through the space triples at the ending. 1,000 combo for Kosirek, the unknown hero, the Phantom Lord for Poland. He comes out of nowhere, and 700k, it's not going to be the full combo, but it's going to be more than enough to take Poland over the line into the end of this map and avoid disaster on another breakpoint.
And it is all falling apart for the United States. Koshiarek has done more than enough. It's 100,000, but the combos break on the United States, and the 800,000 score improving from just 416k in the first set, the second highest score in the lobby, as Koshiarek doubles their performance to carry Poland to the largest victory that ever could have mattered in this match. It was a point that everyone was uncertain about. It was a 10,000 score victory for the blue team in the first set, and it remains for the blue team in the second set. Poland brings it back home. It's not a break point against the United States, but it is one more box checked for Poland. It is one step further of the 3 they need to send the United States packing for the second year in a row, looking and standing over the hill as they are ready to go into their next pick now. They must continue to win their own points. There is no room for error. Should the United States lose their next pick, it's match point, and Poland has a chance to close it, but there's plenty left for the USA here. They have yet to go for that DT2, still nervous on that side. It was a 250,000 score gap for them, and it was a big performance from Rectigon and Window Life to bring them through on it, and I, for one, am very surprised at not seeing that map picked out here. It was very, very confident for them. The United States maybe just a little bit too nervous when they are down at this point. There is so much opportunity for slip up here. There is so much that could happen, and they switch it. They go for the DT4. They go for the higher AR gimmick DT map instead of the DT2. We have yet to see this against Poland, and picking the gimmick into them is definitely a strategy that I was not expecting to see from the United States, and surely they have something up their sleeve when it comes to a map like this.
You have to imagine, because yes, this map is gimmick, right? It is a lot of really techie streams, a lot of Axel decel patterning, a lot of aim control alt patterning, especially when you get into the second half of this map. These overlapping triples that form fake triangles to mess with your reading during the most difficult parts of the map. But it's also all at 225 BPM. So there's a really significant speed, stamina, and finger control component to this map that cannot be ignored. When you look at DT4s and players specifically who are known to pop off on this slot in map pools, you often look to Malashevsky, but that's often on a little bit less speed intensive DT4s, a little bit more tech and alt intensive. And yes, this map has those tech and alt elements, but for the United States, they're picking this, I think, mostly for the speed and mostly to leave up stuff like the DT2 and potentially the Freemod 3, that other more speed focused map in the pool, because this is, you have to be confident on this if you're the United States, right? If you lose this map, well, suddenly it's break point for Poland. Suddenly it's match point for Poland. They are up 6-2 with their own next pick. So the United States, every pick they make from here on has to be really confident. So I have to imagine that they are extremely solid on this map, that they are not worried about that pop-off from Poland, that they know this map is either speed intensive enough, stamina intensive enough, or that they are just really solid on the pick to not have to worry about that potential pop-off from Poland on this map.
And this is sort of that moment where the United States, I think, maybe have realized, you know what? We just always need to worry about Malashevsky and Milos. There is no map we pick in this pool where we aren't going to have to worry about that combo. So let's try and pick a map in the pool that we know we are confident on, and maybe, just maybe, there will be somebody to match that performance. And this DT4 being what I would consider one of the most solo carryable maps in the pool. If you put up an early big combo on this map, you could absolutely trash another team on this, and we have only seen one break from Poland in this intro. Meanwhile, the United States has already fully collapsed in these intro streams, and that is probably the easiest section of the map by far, if not the most repeatable. There is a couple more sections of that these overlapping triples that are going to come up later are going to matter, but right now it is very, very far in Poland's hands. And like we said earlier, the United States knocking on the door of match point. Milos and Shedis are going to find breaks in this refrain section here, so it's now just Nahus and Malashevsky left up. Window Life and Rectagon, they've been the saviors for the United States on these DT picks, and they must be in that position once again. The United States ready for that 3-5, but it must come through here. Poland has been so strong. It's a 4-way break on that intro triple pattern. That's the one I mentioned, and it's more from the United States, but it's just Malashevsky now for Poland. Window Life finds a break, and it's Rectagon who has gone pretty under the radar and will continue to stay there as they find a break. And Malashevsky, the #1 tournament player in the world in the grand finals right now here in this place, is sending the United States packing. No chance that they have right now. 30,000 score, and it's just one more pattern. Malashevsky does not find it, but it's 30,000 in favor of Poland right now. There are minimal combos on the United States, and one more of those from Malashevsky is going to send the United States down. It is looking bad for them, but it is not done.
The big thing for me is look at the accuracy for those two players who found the pop-off combos. Rectagon's up at 98, Malashevsky's down at 96. Rectagon is actually still top scoring this map across the lobby right now. You have 250k from Window Life, who has recovered and has this big combo again. A miss there from Nahu's gonna mean more combo lead back the way of the United States. It is matched by Pez, but Decaton, Window Life are the two biggest combos in the lobby right now. Milos is close behind with that ridiculous 98 accuracy. He's matched in the accuracy by Rectagon and matching the combo for Shedis as well. And here we go into the last third of this map. Shedis and Nahus the first to break. Window Life, Malashevsky, Pez all finding drops as well on this next big section. These alt patterns are so disgustingly hard. Decaton, Pez, Window Life, Malashevsky, everyone on Poland has broken. It's just Rectagon, the captain for the, well, not the captain, I'm sorry, the pop-off player for the United States. Their single best player and the best tournament player in North America. Rectagon is holding on to the one combo through this most difficult section of the DT4 pick. He is putting on the carry pants the United States need. He is top scoring this map and keeping them from that match point Poland was so looking for on this map. Rectagon 1,000 combo into the ending. The last quarter of the map well underway. More breaks to come out for Malashevsky, Decaton, and Nahus, and there's just nothing left but the best player in North America to continue holding this combo into the end to bring the United States to the third point in the bracket reset.
Rectagon has gone so under the radar in this grand finals, has really not had too many pop-off scores. I mean, before this, it was birth on the DT for Rectagon at the 800k, and once again, Rectagon is going to do it. The heroics on the DT pool, and the United States on a DT4 that we were sort of wondering if they would be able to pull out, now lets them keep the double time 2 open with one more point in their favor, and they now come to the front of their next opportunity at that break point. Poland is still holding on. It is one map for Poland to match point. Should the United States steal that map away, it could mean the difference between tiebreaker and not. It all comes down to one of these next two picks. Either the United States wins or loses this breakpoint, or Poland maybe takes one more away. Either way, we are down to potentially just 2 maps left if all goes wrong here, and Poland can be unshaken here. They cannot let any of these losses affect them. They must continue on for the maps that they know that they are good at. And the question is, what do they go in for? It must be that Nomad 5 you mentioned, Dazer.
I think it just might be. I mean, we're getting to the point where there's not a lot of picks remaining. There's only 2 more maps here that Poland is going to have the ability to pick, right? So it gets a little hard to pick and choose. I think the Nomad 5 looks best on paper for them, but I mean, there's still some other stuff in this pool that we haven't seen yet that I think is still quite advantageous for them, or at least has a good potential of being quite advantageous for them. I mean, this Nomad 2, I think, looks pretty decent. It's a map that Malashevsky is still going to be able to go in for. The rest of the team, I think, really likes this type of you know, flow aim streamy map. This one's really difficult too. There's the Fremont 4, I think, that could be pretty interesting for them. I mean, there's some pretty solid potential there with a lot of the very difficult, clip farming method. Okay, train of thought is completely gone. All right, there we go. It is Nomad 5, so we are going to see, we saw some speed earlier that tends to get banned all the time. And, Gimmick also happens to kind of be banned all the time. Not this time, though. It is left open, and Poland is going to be the one to pick it. And I mean, I've said it every time. Poland on header was an absolute menace. They completely demolished that map. It was like by far the biggest difference, I think, in their finals match before. So this one is going to be a little bit different. This map, it's very flow aim focused, very flow aim focused for the most part, but it's going to feature a lot of snap aim doubles as well as like the main difficulty of the map here. But a lot of potential, I think, for a lot of players, a lot of different players. I think it's very hard to have a good grasp on, I think, who's going to do well on this, because it's not a reading map. It's somewhat gimmicky, but for the most part, it is just like a mixed aim map that just happens to be pretty low AR. And we're going to be seeing Honeydip have come in for, I think, their first map in both matches. Kind of the specialist player for this kind of thing on Poland. I mean, Have is usually going to be able to come in for these, basically just the gimmick stuff. Normally is really good on hidden and techie picks as well, but I think the Poland roster this year is so well-rounded that, I mean, it doesn't even need to play it that much. But we're going to be coming for the first time on this one, backing up Malashevsky, Evil Grape, and Milosh on this one. And I think this is a good-looking roster for them. On the other side of the table, though, I mean, USA is going to be bringing in their specialist force here. I mean, 3 of them at once in the lobby. They're not playing that many maps. Ethan, Caleb, and Boshi coming in for this one. Honestly, Taquito, too, has not been playing that many maps. Kind of like a fill player for this, but that's going to be the roster for the United States here, as Poland looks to bring themselves to match point in the grand finals.
Let's see if they can convert this pick over to match point. If they were able to, they'd be up 6-3. They would have 3 opportunities to cleanly close out the grand finals to become the second team to beat the United States multiple times. Well, the only team to beat the United States multiple times, and the third team to have won OWC multiple times if they're able to do so. But they've got to get to match point. They've got to convert here, and they have to win another map afterwards as well. Some early breaks coming through across both teams. Caleb, Taquito, Boshiman for the United States, Malashevsky, Honeydip, and Milosh for Poland. It is Ethan Trix and it is Evil Grape holding on to the full combos for both of these teams on some honestly ridiculous low AR alt patterning. Here these doubles start to come through, and there goes Evil Grape. That's the first miss on that big combo for Poland during the section. Milosh also finding the drop. Taquito and Caleb trading them out, but it's big combo now on 2 members for the United States. Ethan Trix on the FC, Boshiman on the reverse choke. There goes Caleb once again, but Malashevsky also finds the drop. That's another big combo gone for Poland. It is Honeydip and Evil Grape holding a little bit more combo for Poland, but the United States, they're still not bringing this over to their side. Chillier, it's 90 AC for Ethan Trix. He is combo gaming his heart out right now, and it's 96 for Evil Grape, 96 for Milosh, 96 for Malashevsky, 94 for Honeydip. The accuracy on Poland just outdoing the big combos for the United States. Finally, it's starting to matter, but there goes the miss for Ethan Trix. Boshiman also finding the break immediately afterwards, and it's still big combo on 3 members for Poland.
Poland had just needed to hold on for that one section. The United States, they're really good at comboing this sort of map, but the accuracy is doing all the damage in the world. You saw the maximum score gap they were able to put up was just a couple thousand, and look at these combos on Poland. The second the misses come out from the United States, this map is just all but over, and the gimmick roster for the United States just cannot stand here. Poland is far too good at this sort of map. One more section of doubles here. I know we're just through the halfway point of the map, but This is a 4-minute map, and we are at 160,000 score difference between these two teams right now, and that is just an unfathomable margin. Remember, the longer a map is, the more the big score gaps matter, and 200,000 score on a 4-minute map is effectively insurmountable unless the United States somehow had a full combo sitting on their side, and there is just nothing that Caleb and Boshi are going to be able to do about this, regardless of whether or not Milos and Malashevsky were holding their combos right now. The United States needed something more on this map, and as we come into the final quarter, that is going to be Poland looking to pull out that match point. Milos does find a miss, but as long as Malashevsky holds, the United States is going nowhere with these combos. And now it's going to be that 3-6, and Poland now officially knocking on the door of that first place. Caleb misses the doubles, and that is just going to be the nail in the coffin for the United States, now needing to win 3 maps in a row, including a break point, in order to make it through this match.
They'll also need to go through tiebreaker in order to eventually win against Poland if the greatest dynasty in OWC is to find their 9th win this year. Poland, they have so much security in this match right now. They have a pick of their own to try and close this out. They have 2 picks from the United States to try and close this out. And if all else fails, they have access to that exact same tiebreaker. 4 opportunities for Poland to close this out, 3 of them before we even get to that tiebreaker, and it is a win nearly across the board for Poland on this map. The only member of the United States to score higher than anyone on Poland is Boshi Man. He's able to outscore Evil Grape and Honey Dip, but that's it. All other members of the United States lower than the lowest score on Poland. That is a completely dominating win for Poland on that Nomad 5 pick. It is why they saved it for near the end of this bracket reset. And I think similarly, it's why the United States is picking into this double time too.
This was the one. This was going to be the pick they needed, you know, and I think that them winning that DT4 mattered more than you would have thought, because this is quite possibly one of the only picks left in this pool where the United States had a pretty decent advantage in the first set. Everything else was very, very close or banned. I mean, they had out of place. That was only 122,000. And of the maps that were picked in the other match, everything else is already gone. So this is the only pick retained now from that first set where the United States knows that they had an advantage. And even then, it was on the back of an unbelievable performance from Rectigon and Window Life that they need to see again. Then they need to take a break point from Poland and somehow find another map in this pool that they have not played yet versus Poland and win it as well. This is 3 points for the United States using only 1 break point from Poland, but it might be the biggest uphill battle they have seen in the entire double set that we have had here. And this DT2, no matter how confident it is going to leave the United States lost potentially for what that final pick is. Likewise with Poland, the nerves that you have to have after forcing the match point, bringing yourselves back to that same spot in 2017, right there, waiting to take the gold. What do you pick? How do you pick? There's only a couple maps left in the pool, and if you don't have something that you are 1,000% confident on, it's always going to be a do or die scenario for them here, and it could mean the difference between Poland winning or losing this match if all goes wrong.
As much as this map looks like a break glass in case of emergency for the USA, when you look at how this went the first time, you definitely said it. This was almost entirely just Rectigon and Window Life playing well. Pez and Taquito had lower scores than most of Poland there. Actually, all 4 of them. So, you know, you will need these scores to come back here for this second time here, because Poland is just, you know, knocking on the door here. That's it. Like, you're out. There's no more second chances after this. 1 more map is all it takes for it to be all over, and Rectigon and Window Life are going to have to do it all over again here.
There's Rectigon finding a very early break, and the United States now down to only one full combo. Meanwhile, Poland on the 3. We're not quite in the difficult section of this map thus far, but you don't want to see the United States losing the combos this frequently in the early onset of the map. Meanwhile, Taquito, 93% accuracy, and it's a full reset for absolutely everyone except Rectigon. That only does favors for Poland, who maintained the score lead. And as we are a third of the way into the map now, it's Evil Grape versus Rectigon. Window Life not going to be that 600k that we saw in the first set unless we see a major turnaround. The wide angle jumps come through, and the number 1 score for the United States from the first set must once again be the hero. We saw it on the DT4. Rectigon was once again show up. Window Life to find yet another break. It's a double miss from Poland, and this score lead creeps back ever so slowly to the United States. It is on one player right now, Taquito, 94% bonus. It's another triple miss for Poland, and the United States making this look possible. Rectigon slider breaks, but it's Window Life with the combo. 60k for the United States and a third of the map to go. Dio, who is going to take this into the ending? It's anyone's game at the pause.
It's anyone's game for now, but it is combo for Window Life. Nobody else with any major combo right now. You've got some on Nahu Semilosh. Here's the big death stream. This is 89 notes right here and 81 after those buzz sliders. Everyone on the US is missing. The full chain is correcting on Taquito, gives it back over to Poland, and that might just be the game. There's nobody left with any big combo. It's Window Life and Pez who made it through, but Milosh and Evil Grape are matching, and that is probably going to be it. That is Grand Finals. That is Poland winning OWC. Every kingdom has its rise and fall. Every dynasty for the US, its beginning and end. And here today, the ghosts of the USA's past have come back to haunt them. Poland's Phantom Troop have become the 3rd team to win OWC multiple times, and the most decorated tournament player of all time adds the greatest trophy to his collection. The US, they will always have a claim to the throne, but they will not win this year's war for the spot atop the world, losing once again to the best team in the world. Poland repeat history from 2017. Poland beat the US in winners finals, and they beat them again here in the bracket reset. Poland are your 2025 OWC champions.
And what a match to do it on. Poland, the only team in the history of the OS World Cup to maintain an undefeated record against the United States in the battle for first place in the OS World Cup. It started in 2017. They put it on the back burner for a few years, but by God, they were going to do it again in 2025 was their year. 8 years later, Poland stands back at the top of the podium as the best country in the world at this game we call OSU, and in amazing fashion at that. An uncertain first set, a 7-1 loss in a match that looked all but over, and Poland brings it back. Milosh, Malashevsky, and not even just those two, but the entire roster of Poland putting in the work. But you cannot forget to mention Malashevsky in any case. The #1 tournament player in the world, arguably second only to a select group of players in minor scenarios, but Malashevsky, a 2.0 match cost, 9 maps played, and 4 top scores in this grand final matchup. He has finally gotten his one. His team backed him up in beautiful, majestic fashion, and they will be your winners.
Just some unbelievable storylines here. Huge congratulations to Poland. I mean, I know both of you, you love your narratives and how, undefeatable USA looks sometimes, but it's, 2 years in a row now, someone has managed to do it, and it's not even because they're doing that bad. Like, there are more and more teams that are able to match them now, and I think the highlight of this one for me, it's got to be, Rafis, who has waited 8 years for this to happen again, going to be finding a second OWC victory, first since 2017. You don't really get to see that crazy year gap. This might be the largest, OWC win gap in terms of year for any one player ever now. Someone can fact check that later, but I mean,
By far.
that's just got to be wonderful for them.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say, really? He's the one player who survived from that 2017 Poland roster, the one player on their team who had actually won OWC before, and comes back. Poland, they finally have all the pieces of Exodia. They finally have every card in their hand for this year. They don't lose early on. They don't get upset early on by any team in tiebreaker like in 2023. They rebuild the roster for this year. They include one of the players from 2017, the one who is still truly active in high-level tournaments, and they managed to pull it off. This is a ridiculous storyline for sure. In the USA, I mean, this is the team of storylines, right? This is a team that, we talk a lot about, the end of a dynasty, the end of an era with last year's loss, and now they're second place this year as well. They didn't win OWC. Okay, yeah, they didn't win, but they've also been top 2 every year since 2015. They have been top 2 in 11 straight OS World Cups. That is a ridiculous dynasty for the United States. And I think, obviously, still something to be proud of. There is a lot of pressure being on a team that has such a ridiculous history of success like that. And so for the USA to still be able to pull in rookies like Caleb and Ethan Trix this year and still have a really dominant showing throughout much of the World Cup, only ever losing to Poland once in the winners finals and once here in bracket reset, goes to show the depth of their player base and why that dynasty exists. We often forget to talk about the why behind that dynasty, but the USA of today is a completely different squad from the USA of 2015 when they first started accruing those wins.
This is a year of new beginnings, I want to say, for a lot of teams in this World Cup. And I think it's very important after the grand finals matchup to, sort of look over what this year means for OWC 2026, because this happens every single year, which means that these countries need to constantly think about how do we make our roster the best it can possibly be for next year's OWC. And I have loved every single minute of this tournament this year. For one reason alone, it's because so many countries have amazing rosters to go into next year with. People are talking about right now, Poland has won. They had a great year and all of that. What people aren't talking about is that Poland has a very young, very fresh roster. Rafis aside, who is Methuselah. But other than that, I think he still even is going to continue playing the game. And Poland, with a roster that could come back next year and win the OSU World Cup yet again. They have a strong roster. They have a young player base who is going to want and come back and get a repeat win in this tournament. Likewise with the United States, they switched out a lot of their older roster this year, and I imagine we're going to see a lot more sub-outs for next year. That could potentially mean that we see a completely different roster from them. And there are more countries that we didn't even see in this grand finals that fill that spot. Australia, they've been vying for that top 2 spot for years. And if there was ever a year we thought they could have done it, it was this year. And they came short on one map on an underperformance on TV, and I still think that they could have done it, which means that their prospects for 2026 are as good as ever. And more teams on top of that. We saw Canada with a fully refreshed roster this year who did get knocked out in an earlier stage, but they made it farther than I imagined they were expecting to make it with a roster that was as fresh as they had. Germany completely made a switch up this year. South Korea lost a lot of strong players, but they still made it all the way through to the semifinals weekend. And there's a whole host of teams like New Zealand who cannot be understated this year. They had a miracle run, and I cannot say that it was luck. They had the best all-round team performance of the entire tournament in my mind, aside from our winners, Poland. They looked so good. as an overall roster, and I cannot wait to see what they bring to the 2026 World Cup too. And there is just so much more that we can look forward to in just a year's time.
I am very much looking forward to next year as well. Australia this year took the US to tiebreaker as well in the losers bracket grand finals. And they look to repeat with a similar roster for next year as well, right? I know there's quite a few Australia and Australia-New Zealand tournaments that help to foster talent in that region. So looking forward to seeing what their roster is going to look like next year as well. Poland, as you said, I mean, the big elephant in the room is that South Korea, they had multiple players quit, right? They are the defending world champions, actually, and they were out in the top 6 this year, but they had multiple of their best players either quit or, as is so often the case with South Korean gaming players and esports players, military obligations, right? So it kind of interrupts the careers in OS. This is not League of Legends, right? None of these players are literally faker, and they don't just get exemptions for it just to keep playing OWC year after year. So
a lot of faker candidates, though.
A lot of faker candidates, but not quite the case here at OSU, unfortunately. So for teams and countries that don't have that obligate service, you can look forward to similar teams next year, hopefully, for multiple of those who have challenged the United States this year.
I think for me, there's one thing I want to mention about this. Having been here for so many years now, there's been this narrative for the longest time that the USA always wins, they got plot armor, they're just too strong. I think a lot of people are always kind of looking down when they do good. I think it's a common thing that we all have to deal with every time, but I think that narrative can be put to rest now, I think. I mean, that's 2 years in a row now where someone managed to outdo them. So I think it's a very interesting change in landscape. Like you said, Chill, you're kind of the start of a new era here with this one, where honestly, going forward, there's so many things that could happen. A lot of very new faces, a lot of very, fresh players that have just some crazy potential, some returning players too that just keep getting better and better, right? So I'm very, very curious for the future landscape of OS World Cup after today. But it is nice to see Poland be able to take it back, though. I think it's something to be happy about. I think this was a generational team for them to be able to assemble everyone on 1 year here after a couple of their players kind of took a back seat or didn't play or didn't really have a full roster around them. Well, now they do, and they prove that they can do it.
This is a new era of OWC, is I think that we've boiled this down to. We brought back the group stage. We removed the round of 32. So, I mean, we really backtracked to 2018 this year, by the way. That was the last time we had group stage and round of 32 gone, but
that's why they won.
Yeah, there it is. Well, funny enough, the last time we had a group stage and a round of 32, Poland lost in groups. So, damn, what a turnaround for Poland this year. But, good things to be said all time. And there's a lot of statistics that we could go over that we're not going to go over because they are really freaking boring. But, the United States, fun fact, have never lost a point in a group stage ever. And that maintained through to this year. Poland have never lost a grand finals to the United States, continued through to this year. Unfortunately enough for Poland, as much as I'd like to say it, they did not become our third team ever to have an undefeated run in the OS World Cup. But man, they came so close. That first set was just very, very rough for them, but they displayed the excellence that we expected of them in that bracket reset, more than we ever could have asked for. I mean, a 7-3 victory is as good as you'd ever like to see in a grand finals, and such a good time from them. It's always a pleasure to see this Polish roster play. All of these players are absolutely stellar at what they do and have been for so long. And of course, I don't want to overstate Malashevsky, but to win as many tournaments as he has and not have an OWC first place badge is just so sad. And I I pray for, teams like Australia that they also maybe have that chance one day, to all of the best players in the world to have the chance to win this tournament one day, because all of our top level players deserve it. I think everyone should get the chance to compete on this stage. And, we always wish that we could get more players up here on the stage, on stream every single year. And, it was a lot of the motivation, I think, behind bringing back Group Stage this year, to get more and more teams up here and have a chance to play on a world stage like this. It's always great to see.
It is fantastic to see, and unfortunately, because it's unfortunate because it's that fantastic, but this is the end of the OS World Cup 2025. We've had our tiebreaker show match, we've had our grand finals, we've had our bracket resets, and Poland, once again, are your OWC 2025 champions. They have brought a second year in a row of loss to the United States. They have claimed victory themselves. They have repeated history from 2017. Chillier, what else is left to say?
Well, at the end of every OWC and every World Cup at that is always a solemn experience, because we have to begin a period of 12 months of waiting before the next one starts up again. Even with Laser Grand Arena being around for the standard community, it's always a sad day when OWC ends, but another joyous day for the players of Poland. Congratulations to the United States for their second place finish, and a third place finish for Australia, looking once again to make it all the way through here. And a major thanks to all of the staff who participated in the OS World Cup this year. It was one of, if not the largest staff teams we have had in the history of this tournament. Azer, I know you had a rough number of how many were there after the Grand Finals TB, 300 and something?
Yeah, I mean, there's some duplicates on there because a lot of people are doing multiple things, but the total number of names with duplicates was 325.
Oh my goodness. What a number. And, as much as we would love to take the time, as the organizer team, to name off every staff member that participated in the tournament this year, we would like to get all of you out of here within the next hour and a half. So, major thanks to the leads of all of our teams. We brought on a lot of really good new map poolers to the team this year who did an amazing job putting them together. Of course, the playtesters, the mappers, and the hit sounders, and all the people who worked on the spreads. But, the map pool team did get a lot of thanks after the Grand Finals map pool showcase. I always like to take a chance to thank the rest of our staff that maybe don't get quite as much recognition over the course of the tournament after the Grand Finals. All of our commentators who bring the matches to you all every single year, which were extended by our guest caster team this year. We were fortunate enough to have a significant number of community members join us for the group stages every single time for those 2 weekends, and really augment and improve the casting and viewing experience for all of those matches. So a major round of applause to our staple casting team that gets bigger and better every single year, as well as all of our special guests who joined us. Of course, our referee team, they don't get nearly enough thanks. Those who facilitate our matches every single year, led by Leo FLT, one of our organizers. They always do a great job keeping these matches running smoothly and going the exact way that we sort of expect them to. Amazing stuff from them every single year. Our statistician, mainly Shadooz, joined by Leo FLT, bringing you all those crazy numbers and stats you see at the end of every week, as well as making sure all of our spreadsheets get handled in beautiful fashion every time around. And of course, last but not least, our design team and all of our musicians for our originals. That is one of the biggest teams we have in this tournament. Dozens of staff, dozens of artists who did all of our originals and all of the videos, the backgrounds, and everything else that you saw on your screen this year, led by Sakura006, who is a godsend to this tournament every single year. A major round of applause to the design team and all of our musicians for those originals. We would not be here without them for most of this.
Yeah. Speaking of, there should be a news post pretty soon as well. We did mention this during the showcase, but for any aspiring designers, illustrators, and stuff like that, you may be able to join them very soon. Keep on the lookout for that. But I think this is, for me, this is a World Cup that I think sought to push a lot of boundaries. I think we tried a lot of new things. I think we succeeded in a lot of areas. It was very fun to, reintroduce group stages and just find, every possible place where improvement could happen, and every single aspect I think went quite well. And the complete overwhelming amount of passion I think that was present from all of the staff teams, all of the teams as well. The actual players, I think, let us know throughout the course of this tournament. I think that they had a great time. It was really fun watching them, but also I think it's a great viewing experience. I think the entertainment factor of this has been nice. We kind of made sure to prioritize that a little bit here and make sure that the viewers are happy too, with all the fun show matches, the funny little bits and stuff, and the maps and the pools that I think people are recognizing and hoping to see every time. So I think overall this is a pretty good way to wrap this Standard World Cup, and I'm pretty happy with how it went.
Major props to everyone involved. So thank you all for sticking around for our thanks. The next year of World Cups has already kicked off. The forum post and all the registrations just opened for the Osumania 7 Key World Cup 2026 just a few days ago, and I highly recommend you check out the main design for that tournament to get a sneak peek for what OWC is going to look like in 2026, because by God, it is absolutely fantastic. Once again, our design team outdoes themselves. But that's going to do it for us this year. A solemn ending, but also one that is very upbeat. Thank you once again from the organizer team, from all of the staff, to all of our players who participated through qualifiers and group stages and every bracket stage, and all of our viewers who are the reason we are here every single year in and year out. Thank you once again for making OWC the amazing tournament that it is, and we will see you all back for OWC 2026.
if you'd all like to move to the dance floor.
Move to the funky beat.